Okay, back here at Villa Park, fireworks shoot into the sky overhead. It is a party atmosphere indeed. A huge tifo away to our right-hand side, a banner draped from the top of the stand at Villa Park right down to the goal mouth. It is as simple as the Aston Villa crest. Aston Villa Football Club prepared, and that famous Scottish lion, flames shooting into the air as the players make their way onto the pitch. And the Graham Potter era for West Ham United starts here. West Ham took the decision to bring down the guillotine on Julian Lopetegui's tenure as manager. They'll hope Potter's disastrous time as Chelsea boss was merely a blip, and that they haven't just got a good manager, but a great one to lead the Hammers into the future. His first match in charge is the 150th anniversary match for Aston Villa. Their hosts live on Talksport in the company of the two-time Villa League Cup winner Andy Townsend and our very own Jim Brownford.
Thank you, Hugh, and a very good evening to you. Well, one of Graham Potter's earliest footballing memories took place about 6 miles from here, when as a 7-year-old he enjoyed a night at the British Legion in Shirley with his family, and the European Cup. Villa had not long won the trophy. He's taken on a tour of local venues with some players in tow, and somewhere in the Potter family archive there's a picture of Graham and his brother with Peter Wynne and Ken McNaught and old Big Ears in the middle. Well, if Villa were his boyhood club, that loyalty subsided when he signed for Birmingham as a teenager, but they have played a part in his story since. The highest he's ever been in the league table as a manager came after a win here. His last game as Chelsea boss was a defeat to Villa, so it's fitting that the next phase of his managerial career starts against the same opposition. He was always destined to end up in claret and blue, just not that one. Less than 48 hours after being confirmed as the new West Ham boss, he leads his new charges for the first time. 4 months to get his message across and put the foundations in place ahead of next season, when significant improvement will be expected. And with the Hammers in that mid-table no man's land, the relegation fight over their shoulder and the European places too far away to really see, the FA Cup provides an outstanding opportunity to get things off to a decent start, a chance to salvage something from a disappointing campaign. The Hammer season threatening to turn to clay, but clay can be skillfully moulded with a Potter at the wheel. This is how the two teams line up tonight. Olsen in goal for Villa, Cash, Concert, Mings and Matson, Barkley and Camara, Bailey, Tielemans and Rogers, and Watkins. Fabianski back in goal for West Ham, Wan-Bissaka, Mavropanos, Kilman, and full debut on Ollie Scarles, Souček and Alvarez, Kudus, Paquetá and Somerville, with Fulkrug up front. And Aston Villa celebratory kit of all black with the Scottish Lion in red as a badge, white shorts and big bright white numbers on the back. It does look special. Hammers in their change kit tonight, their third kit of white shirts and claret shorts. And Villa, as they like to do, will be defending the whole end away to our right in the first half, Andy.
Yeah, looking forward to the game, Jim. Really am. For a number of reasons. Look, it's an FA Cup tie, it's a chance to progress in such a brilliant competition. I'm sure, looking at the quality out there, both teams will be going flat out to try and get this one won tonight. In 90 minutes, by the way.
Yeah, replays a thing of the past in the FA Cup, as you know. So, it's 90 minutes, then extra time, then penalties. It's going to be West Ham who will get us underway. The night when the first of the Premier League clubs will exit the FA Cup. Villa haven't won a home game in this competition since 2016. West Ham have only won one away against top-flight opposition in nearly 20 years. So something's got to give tonight as Villa celebrate their history and West Ham start another new era. So West Ham have got the ball in the midfield. First touch for Lucas Paquetá. And then for Scarles, the fullback playing on the left-hand side tonight. Wan-Bissaka playing on the right, and he's got possession now. Works it through the midfield for Thomas Souček. Matson was in there strongly, but Wan-Bissaka's got away from him and can venture over halfway, setting up Somerville. And Somerville works it to his left for Paquetá. He's going to shoot from distance. Fires it in. And he wasn't too far wide.
I tell you, that's a lovely strike, that, from Paquetá. Graham Potter applauds the midfielder's strike. Really good hit there. When it came to Paquetá, he just had a little look left and then thought, I'm going to hit it. I tell you what, hits it lovely. Just seeing a replay on their monitors, not too far away.
Olsen diving away to his left-hand side, grasping at fresh air. The ball beat the post by probably a foot, 18 inches, no more than that. 0-0 in the early stages here on Talksport with 90 seconds gone. And the first goal of the night in the FA Cup is at Wickham. Ian Abrahams.
17 gone, Wickham 1, Pompey 0. Ball in from the right-hand side for Brandon Hanlon to slam into the corner of the net. League One Leeds Championship. Wickham 1, Pompey 0.
Wickham in great form, although they lost the other night. It's only 3 defeats in 23 games. Portsmouth have just won 5 games in all competitions all season. Down trail there by a goal to 0. Referee tonight is Tim Robinson, who's making his 3rd trip to Villa Park already this season. He was just having a word with Alvarez. A little bit of push and shove going on in the midfield. The referee's happy and play will restart. West Ham in possession. Kicking from left to right tonight here on Talksport. It's a weekend that we will bring you 10 FA Cup ties live on the Talksport network, and as the course of the evening goes on, I'll remind you what is when and where you can hear it. Socek laying it back for Mavropanos. Now to Aaron Wan-Bissaka inside his own half, who won the FA Cup last season. Indeed, his last FA Cup tie was last season's final, his final game for Manchester United, and he's want to throw on the hammers right.
Yeah. And they've got lots of good options, lots of pacey options up front. Somerville, as you say, and Kudus. They've got Paquetá playing in that sort of 10 position. Nicholas Füllkrug, hopefully tonight, can expect some delivery, some crosses, something whipped in. Doesn't have to be perfect, just something that gives him an opportunity to go after it and attack it.
Socek in strongly, and the Tielemans then fell into him. They both are okay. The ball going out of play. It's interesting the way that the West Ham are already showing that fluidity with Kudus, Paquetá and Somerville. Somerville ostensibly playing out on the left-hand side is what we were expecting, but has taken up station on the right with Kudus not too far ahead of him, and those two both very close for large phases of play. So it's going to be interesting to see how Graham Potter envisages getting the best out of those 3.
Again, in possession of the ball, Jim, they have licence and they can play free, and under the new coach's instruction, they can drift into different positions. When they lose the ball, the usual rules apply. You've got to get back in numbers.
So Scarles has got the ball for West Ham over on the far touchline. Still 0-0 here on Talksport. And play back for Alvarez. And out of Mavropanos. He's not too far outside his own penalty area. Just nudges it to his left-hand side for Max Kilman, who maintains his record of featuring in every West Ham game since he signed from Wolves. His long ball for Füllkrug's offside, but Villa have maintained possession and are allowed to continue with Robin Olsen.
Yeah, and I think for Villa, Ross Barkley and Camara will sit in front of that back 4 and allow Yuri Tielemans to be the one from midfield to maybe get up in and around, get beyond Ollie Watkins when he can.
Mings works it forward to Maatsen and then gets the return ball. Play back again for Olsen. Emi Martinez getting the night off tonight with the very experienced Swedish international recall. Kamara plays it back for Ezri Konsa, and the England defender brings it forward to within about 18 yards of halfway. Forward again towards Mings, and Unai Emery is dancing up the touchline and urging Tyrone Mings to play the ball forward briskly for Maatsen. He wanted him to be much more purposeful with his movement there off the ball. Villa has still got it, but still got plenty of traffic between them and the edge of the penalty area as it goes from Barkley out to Kamara, and now Matty Cash coming in off the right-hand side goes back for Yuri Tielemans, who scored the winner in the FA Cup final a few years ago. Barkley trying to edge the ball down towards Maatsen, but it's easily cleared by Somerville for a throw.
Yeah, and that's important that Somerville tracks that run of Ian Maatsen, who is ambitious in that left-back position, and he will push on and gamble and run right in behind West Ham as often as he can.
Now, those are thoughts of Aston Villa legend Andy Townsend. Villa in possession with Konsa playing it forward towards Mings, and now Maatsen is trying to get himself forward. He went a little bit too early there. It was a good ball in.
Yeah, good ball, Jim. Good ball. I like people when they get in wide positions into good areas, just put it in there. Put it in there. So many times now, there's nothing more disappointing when you see a team in a good area of the field and then coming back and then trying to go out the other side and they lose all their momentum. Ian Maatsen there was just fractionally offside, but it was in a really nice position just to put something across the box.
Now, Madsen, who's only made a couple of Premier League starts this season, Champions League finalist last season, finding himself in confrontation tonight with Nicholas Füllkrug, his former Dortmund teammate who played in that game as well. Here's Kudus turning neatly on the right-hand side for West Ham. He, I think, essentially is playing at 10 tonight with Somerville on the right-hand side and Paquetá on the left. Füllkrug will tend to drift out towards the left-hand side. Skulls has made a really good run forward.
He's actually pushed forward a lot, Jim. In possession, Skulls is really pushing forward down that left because Paquetá doesn't want to really give them width in that position. So the young left-back's got to do that. Down the right, Somerville can do that, and that allows Paquetá to get in there with Kudus in behind Füllkrug.
So it is a lopsided defensive formation when West Ham have possession, because Wan-Bissaka in front of us at right back isn't given that same licence.
Correct. And when they lose the ball, when they recover, they'll recover maybe into a bit of a 3 with Wan-Bissaka getting in there alongside Kilman and co, and making sure that Skulls and Somerville just track those runs.
The ball chipped down the West Ham United right. It's gone out of play for a Villa throw. Wan-Bissaka was claiming that it was his, but the referee said it was an Aston Villa throw, which has been taken quickly. 7.5 minutes gone, 0-0. Just a one chance worthy of the name so far. A whistling effort from Paquetá inside the opening 3 minutes, which went just wide of Robin Olsen's dive, but wide of the post. Madsen laying it back towards Mings. Mings rolling it down the touchline to Morgan Rogers, who, wearing 27, just takes a touch and plays it back. The numbers are massive on the back of the Villa shirts. You talk about this sort of the styling of the Villa shirt to commemorate this 150th anniversary. They look like Subbuteo numbers.
They do, actually, don't they?
Consa's got it. And it's just inside his own half. Big white number 4 on his back. Now played over the top by Kamara. It's a good run forward by Watkins, who got the run on Mavropanos, but there's a ball dipped over his shoulder. Waved the right foot at it, but couldn't make any contact.
Yeah, I just wondered, actually. I think Ollie maybe just got a little nudge from Mavropanos just at the crucial moment. I wondered whether or not he was going to stretch for that and just try and hook it, because Fabianski had started to creep. He was well beyond the 6-yard box.
And Fabianski getting the ball forward again. Another former FA Cup winner on the field tonight. Fabianski won it back in 2014. West Ham get it forward. Here's Somerville. They're taking on Madsen, rolling across the edge of the area, and it's slotted into the bottom right-hand corner by Lucas Paquetá. 9 minutes into Graham Potter's West Ham reign. He's already worked some magic. The Hammers lead at Villa by a goal to nil. And 5,000 travelling West Ham United supporters are in raptures.
Great goal. Really good goal. And you know what? The ball served up from the back up to the centre forward on the halfway line, who nods it back to a midfield player. They feed it wide, get it in the box, and Paquetá arrives perfectly on cue to slot it very, very well, I must say. Really well into the far corner beyond Robin Olsen. Really good switch. Somerville does great, rolls it back to Paquetá just above the penalty spot on the left foot, and he doesn't just try and blast it, he passes it nice and crisp and hard into the far corner, giving the goalkeeper no chance at all. That's a brilliant start for Graham Potter and his players.
Well, one of the keys to success for West Ham will be being able to bring the best out of Lucas Paquetá, and 9 minutes in he scored and come very close to another as well.
Very true, that, Jim, because too often I've seen Paquetá this season giving the ball away, I feel, a little too cheaply, not involved enough. That will do his confidence the power. No doubt he's a proper talent, no question about that. But really good goal, that. Nicely played. And Graham Potter, in the interviews before the game, Jim, we heard him talking about balance. And what he meant by that was, if we've got to do things, if we've got to destroy, we'll do that. When we can play, we'll be bright, we'll be expansive. Get the balance right, do it right. Want to win the battle first, get possession of the ball, start to feel like you can start to creep up the park before you're trying to play 1-2s on the edge of your own 18-yard box. That's going to get you nowhere.
So 1-0 to West Ham. A goal scored by Paquetá, who netted against Villa on the opening day of the season. That was a game that Villa won by 2-1. They took a really early lead in that game with a debut goal from Onana. And John Duran scored the winner. It's West Ham that lead tonight, as Conser plays it forward for Tielemans. 11 minutes gone on Talksport. Villa 0, West Ham 1. Matty Cash's ball inside the penalty area intended ball inside the penalty area was blocked and ricocheted Fulkrug's way, but Villa very quickly win it back, and Mings can play it forward. Now right in front of us, Ian Matson, not too far short of the edge of the West Ham penalty area, plays it forward. It's hit Wan-Bissaka and goes out of play for a throw that Matson has taken intelligently quickly, and Rodgers tries to hook the ball forward. Alvarez was able to block that, comes back out Matson's way against another Villa throw.
Yeah, good play actually from Alvarez there. Did really well there to just make sure he got back and blocked that.
So Matson's going to take another throw. It's about 6 yards from the corner flag, inside the penalty area. Watkins with his back to the direction of play. Mavropanos comes across, puts it out of play. The first corner of the night, which goes Villa's way, is another goal at Wycombe, Moose.
27 goal, Wycombe 2, Portsmouth 0. Sonny Bradley converting a free kick. His first goal for the club. He joined on Tuesday. Wycombe 2, Pompey 0.
Yeah, Bradley on loan from Derby and on target tonight. 2-0 Wycombe lead there. West Ham leading here by a goal to 0. First Aston Villa corner comes on the 12-minute mark. Very congested 6-yard box. As Tielemans swings the ball in, and Souček, so adept at set pieces at either end of the penalty, at either end of the field, who gets it away. Then a high up and under, giving something to chase for Kudus. Matson will knock it back, and off the ball. Fulkrug has gone down there.
Oh, he was chasing, Jim. He was chasing after that ball that was cleared off the edge of the box, and he was sprinting full pelt to try and just apply a bit of pressure. And as soon as he's got to the halfway line, he's immediately hit the floor. And he's had so much bad luck. Look, I don't know what it is, hamstring or whether it's his groin, but he's got no chance to continue. That's a real blow for him.
Yeah, he was sprinting forward at full pelt and suddenly pulled up. Took a couple of very ginger steps and then collapsed to the floor. And this, I'm afraid, looks a bad one for Nicholas Fulkrug. Now on the bench for West Ham, in terms of striking options, they have Danny Ings. Now they've also got the Brazilian Luis Guilherme. And they got the opportunity to potentially move either Somerville or Kudus into a more central area if they wanted to do that. Fulkrug is at least sitting back up again now, but it's the way that he pulled up, it's almost impossible to envisage he's going to be able to continue here.
Yeah, just looking at he's receiving treatment, and of course they're testing it, and they're wanting to make sure that if they need to bring a stretcher on, they will do so accordingly. But that's a real blow for Nicholas Fulkrug. That is such a shame.
Well, you're listening to Aston Villa against West Ham in the FA Cup on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly. The game live on Talksport and right across North America as well. It's a very good afternoon to our listeners on Sirius XM FC in Canada and the United States. Fulkrug, one of those players that if he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. And he's only had 5 starts since he moved to West Ham because of injury, and this 5th start is ending very prematurely. He can barely make his way off the field under his own steam. And Danny Ings is going to come on.
It looks, Jim, very much like he's done his hamstring, the way he's kind of limping off, and he's needing assistance actually to get along the touchline. That is awful bad luck for a player that's just not been able to get his career going at West Ham at all because of injury.
Well, he wants to make his way straight down the tunnel and has requested that the medical staff who are helping him can almost carry him down there. He can put his weight on his right leg but not his left. So Danny Ings, once of this parish, comes on. Tar's goal, the difference between the two teams. It's 1-0 to West Ham with 15 minutes gone here on Talksport.
Yeah, and it alters the way that West Ham, I mean, their goal came from a ball, as I mentioned, knocked up to Fulkrug, and he used his presence and his height to win a header and pop it back to a midfield player, quick change, ball in the box, goal. But they're not going to be able to do that quite so easy with Danny Ings. So they might have to be a little more constructive with the way that they move forward as a team. Danny obviously comes alive in and around the penalty spot and 6-yard box. That's where his strengths really lie. Again, West Ham have got to try and provide him with something.
So maybe a little bit more of the responsibility on Thomas Souček to come forward 5 or 6 yards in midfield, because Fulcrook had the ability to just drop in there and harry from the front that Danny doesn't really have.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The difference that makes to you sometimes when you're under pressure, and they will be at times tonight, West Ham, no question. Villa haven't really got going yet. The goal, I think, was a brilliant one by West Ham, and that's kind of set Villa back a little bit. But there's no doubt they're going to come under some pressure at some point.
Watkins has cleared the ball into Souček from close range and with venom. It's gone out of play for a throw which will be taken by Villa, but Souček was down for 6-7 seconds or so. Watkins was looking concerned. Souček's all right. Plays allowed to continue. And Villa take the throw back for Tyrone Mings. Paquetá's goal on 9 minutes. The difference between the two. It's just his second goal in 13 games. Rodgers put under pressure here. Excellent attacking threat from Somerville, and he's found Kudus. Kudus inside the penalty area, rolling it square. Right-footed effort from Paquetá. This time he's blocked. Comes out as far as Kilman. Kilman works it out of the left for Ollie Scarles. Good left-footed ball in from him is dealt with by Kamara, and he will turn under relatively little pressure inside his own penalty area. And Matty Cash should be able to bring it away for Villa down the far side. But that was the intensity of the press for which Graham Potter sides are largely famed. Somerville didn't need a second invitation. As soon as the ball was with Rodgers, he closed him down so quickly.
Yeah, they did really well there, Somerville. And just seeing there, just a challenge there on Mohamed Kudus. But no, Somerville and Kudus doing really, really well to close Morgan Rodgers down. Pinched the ball, another ball slid across towards the penalty spot. The white shirts just couldn't get there quick enough to really apply anything significant, but good pressure, pinching the ball in good areas. That's always the way forward. If you can take it off your opponents in their own half, 30, 40 yards from goal, you know you're in business.
Mavropanos getting the ball forward. Just picked up by Leon Bailey out on the Villa right. They haven't really been able to get him into the game so far. Cash now back for Konsa. He's got Mings to his left, Maatsen further down the line. He slows things down, the former Charlton defender on the edge of the centre circle. Rolls it forward into the feet of Ross Barkley, who's twice a runner-up in the FA Cup. Played in the 2020 and 2022 finals in his Chelsea days. And now the ball goes all the way back for Robin Olsen away to our right-hand side. Our next live FA Cup game is tomorrow at noon. Bristol City Wolves over on Talksport 2. And at the same time, the build-up will just be coming to a conclusion ahead of a 12:15 kickoff at Anfield as Liverpool take on Accrington Stanley. And both of those games will be live tomorrow. Liverpool, Accrington Stanley, 12:15 on Talksport. Bristol City Wolves, 12 o'clock on Talksport 2. And then after Game Day Live with Ian down to Matt Ritchie, Scott Minto and Adrian Clark, will have Chelsea Morecambe at 3 o'clock on Talksport 2. Manchester City Salford at 5:45 here on Talksport as a class of 92 take Salford City, the 6 miles southeast to the Etihad. That's tomorrow on the Talksport network. Here and now, it's 1-0 to West Ham and we play 20 minutes.
And they deserve it. They pressed him well, I think, collectively as a team. They've 3 or 4 times robbed Villa in their own half of the field. And the home team so far have done very little. Haven't seen much of Rodgers. You mentioned Leon Bailey. You can hear the roar coming from the Villa faithful, wanting to see more from their team.
Watkins playing it forward. Rodgers tucking it round the corner. Maatsen, don't know whether he sensed he wasn't going to get there, whether he didn't read it, or if he thought he was offside. But ultimately, when Rodgers just helped it round the corner, in the gap between Mavropanos and Wan-Bissaka, he wasn't in a position that he could attack it, and it's safely, from a West Ham perspective, in the hands of Łukasz Fabianski away to our left, and he will drop the ball down, side-footed outside the penalty area. It's a chance for Max Kilman to bring it forward. Kilman just clipping one long down the left-hand touchline, too far ahead of Scarles. And Constance going to be able to run round it, get there ahead of Ings, and work it back to his goalkeeper, Robin Olsen.
Yeah, been a really good start to the game for West Ham. Out of possession. They're doing everything that they need to do. Somerville's tracking those runner Maatsen, so it's Aaron Wan-Bissaka is tucking in a little closer to the centre halves. Without the ball, they've got a back 5, West Ham, at the minute. because they've all been detailed with jobs to make sure they stay with their man. No one's passing players on, or no one's expecting somebody else to do something for them. Everyone's has been detailed with something significant to do, and they've stuck to it well.
And now Villa have got an injury problem. It's Ross Barkley who is down. That gives us the opportunity to get a slightly longer report from Adams Park. Wycombe against Portsmouth in the night's other FA Cup tie with Ian Abrahams.
2, Pompey 0. Those 2 goals from Brandon Hanlon and Sonny Bradley have Wycombe well in control here. Wycombe 2, Pompey 0.
Barkley still down, and it's his left knee that is being attended to. It's a very cold night, which is often likely to have an effect on potentially muscular injuries or the like, but it looks as though Barkley's race might be run. And Aston Villa are getting Anana ready. He's going to be coming on in a moment.
Yeah. Difficult for the subs tonight, because you sat there and all of a sudden, you run up and down and you're trying to keep warm. But you can get cold pretty quickly tonight when you're sat on the bench. Amadou Anana. Yep, looks like he's about to come on, stripped and ready to go.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, he scored for Villa 3.5 minutes into his debut against West Ham back in August. He's found opportunities harder to come by in recent times, and he's going to be coming on here. But for Ross Barkley, Barkley can make his way off the field, unlike Fulcrum, under his own steam. Barkley comes off with frustration etched across his face, and Anana's on to replace him. So an injury for both teams inside the opening 25 minutes or so here.
Yeah, not quite sure exactly what Ross Barkley did there, but again, a little shake of the head from him. Disappointed that he can't stay on.
Villa take the free kick and work it down towards Maatsen. Anana's first touch is a good one, turning away from Kudus, laying it back for Conson. Almost on the centre spot when he receives the ball. Rogers peels out to the Aston Villa left. The ball goes the other way to Cash. Cash getting it forward towards Leon Bailey, who scored his long overdue first goal of the season last weekend in the win against Leicester City. Villa's home form was held up really well in a difficult patch for them in recent weeks, but they won 4 of the last 5. They've only been beaten here once in 14, but they trail tonight. Here's Rogers. They're getting it forward towards Tielemans. Tielemans laying it back, and Nana had to use those long legs just to make sure that he stayed between Kudus and the ball, and he could protect it and lay it back for Konsa. And that gives Villa an opportunity to be able to build again from the centre circle. Out it goes towards Bailey. Bailey, faced up by Scarles, will drop his shoulder, turn one way, then the other. Paquetá came back in defensive duty as well, and with the aid of Scarles was able to get it away. And Bailey has stayed down injured just outside the penalty area, and referee Robinson stops play to see if he's okay.
Again, didn't quite see what happened there to Leon Bailey. Looks like he's just got a knock on the side of the head or on the ear. I think it's Paquetá. He goes to ground actually, and Lucas Paquetá in getting back and doing his job, double teaming with Ollie Scarles. Just inadvertently catches him, I think, with his knee.
Yeah, it was almost Bailey fell into the West Ham man. There was certainly no malice in there. But it's not going to stop it hurting. Ollie Scarles now having his name sung by the West Ham United supporters over on the far touchline. Just reminding him that he is one of their own. It must be great to hear that for the first time in your professional career.
Lovely. As you say, he's playing right in front of all the travelling West Ham fans. He started the game nicely. Again, I'm sure second half in particular, when Villa are travelling towards the Holt end, you might find it a little tougher. So far, he's been very good.
A little frustration, audible frustration from the Villa fans at Ming's reluctance to play an early ball forward there for a good run from Maatsen. Now they try and squeeze it down the inside right channel for Bailey's run. It's a slide tackle that puts the ball out of play. And it's a throw which Villa take quickly. Work forward towards Tielemans. Paquetá is back to be able to mop up, and Tielemans just gives him a shove in the back. And it's a free kick to West Ham down by their own corner flag in the left back position. 25 minutes gone, they lead by a goal to nil. And they won't be taking anything for granted with a 1-0 lead. As I mentioned earlier, 4 clean sheets in 38 league games, but coming into this one on the back of a 5-0 and a 4-1 defeat, when you've let in 9 in the space of 3 hours worth of play, you might sense that 1-0's not likely to be enough. But there has been a solidity about them defensively so far, as well as that little bit more fluency going forward.
I agree. When they've gone out of possession, they've recovered. They've got into a back 5, as I said, with Somerville and Scholes, and then Kilman, Mavropanos and Wan-Bissaka in those central defensive positions. They've looked nice and solid. Just Kudus is now just off of Danny Ings still. Just since the goal, not seen West Ham able to get it up front and hold it and then drop it back and then move forward from there. They've applied nice pressure. They've pinched the ball off Villa a few times. What they'd now like is a little spell of possession again in the Villa half.
Well, I have a free kick here, which is just in from the left-hand touchline and probably 20 yards inside the Aston Villa half. And it's going to be taken over on the far touchline, which is the West Ham left. It's hit in long by Somerville. Coming around the back is Kilman. Headed away before he got to either him or Souček. And Souček will be more than happy to let the ball run over the line out of play for the Hammers' first corner of the night.
Yeah, Amadou Onana there. He just saw Thomas Souček out the corner of his eye behind him and just couldn't take any risks with that. I think had he have ducked it, might well have gone out for a goal kick. But he wasn't sure, did the right thing, put his head on it. West Ham corner.
Corner that will be taken in front of the hold end on the West Ham United right. Somerville is showing for the short one. I don't think it's going to be played in short somehow. Nearly everybody forward for West Ham. Wan-Bissaka is to stay within 15 yards of the edge of the penalty area, but everybody else is in a position that they might be able to attack this.
They're in that Arsenal position, all stacked up at the far post.
And now they make their runs in, and it comes into a deep area. It's a decent ball in, and Alvarez leaning back as he fired one in and saw Villa players converging on him. Has hit it halfway back the hold end, out of play for a goal kick.
Decent ball in that from Scholes. Hit it right into the right area. He hit it beyond the far post, but not too far. 3 or 4 yards beyond the far post, where Mavropanos and co could challenge for that. In the end, the shot does come in from the edge of the box from Alvarez, but it's a wild one.
28 minutes in here on Talksport, Andy Townsend. Possession, 2/3, 1/3 in Villa's favour. They haven't had a single sight of goal.
No, Villa have done nothing so far. Let's be honest. By their standards, they've been pretty tame.
Now Mings has been caught, having played the ball out from the back. And Kudus left the foot in there. I don't know whether the referee's going to come up and cross and book him. He does. It's going to be a free kick to Villa. Mings is back on his feet. A player that's missed nearly 3 years of his career through various injuries, those ACL problems that he's had. Heart always in your mouth when you see Mings go down, injured, just caught there late by Kudus. He's in the book. First player to be cautioned tonight.
Do you know, you don't mind that. Mohamed Kudus there, he's trying to apply genuine pressure. Not just a gesture, running close to Tyrone Mings. Get after him. Get him under pressure when he's about to play that ball, and he's just a little late. I think he's a little unlucky to get a card there, to be honest, but it's a yellow card for him, so now he's just got to make sure, if he is going to go to ground, if he is going to make a challenge, that he gets there.
He was sent off at Spurs. That's the first yellow card that he's had this season. In comes Tielemans' long diagonal ball down towards Maatsen, who's led with the edge of the West Ham penalty area, almost round the back of Somerville, who recovered well. The right wing back for West Ham. He was off balance and he looked second favourite, but he timed it well just to get his toes to it, to poke it away from Maatsen out for another Villa corner.
Great foot race that between Maatsen and Somerville. And Somerville in that unaccustomed position that for him, in that right back position, did really well to defend that for a Villa corner.
Yuri Tielemans is going to take it. Knocks it short. Finds Leon Bailey. Bailey back for Tielemans again. Better angle to clip the ball in. Wan-Bissaka heads it away. Mings still forward. Shepherds the ball back for Cash. Hoisted in. The offside flag up against Onana. It was well claimed by Fabianski anyway. The play stops because Onana has taken a really heavy fall as he came and attacked that. And he's down in need of treatment, lying inside the 6-yard box, only getting up to his knees now.
Yep. Good play from Fabianski. Onana actually was offside. The goalkeeper comes out, puts a big name on that, claims the ball very well, and Onana, in leaping to try and get some sort of contact just before Fabianski, falls clumsily and awkwardly and lands on his hip a bit, and I think that's a bit of a hefty bang. He's back on his feet.
Yeah, it was the landing that caused the problem. And meanwhile, Somerville's got a problem for West Ham. He's now down in his haunches. Anana is okay. He's going to be fit to continue, but the West Ham medical staff are on, and they're attending to Somerville.
There's a few players that are hitting the floor at the moment and feeling the full effects of it. But look, just seeing our cameras, our monitors are just on Graham Potter on the West Ham bench as we speak, and he'd be delighted with the way, I think, the manner with which his team approached the opening half hour. Got a chance, took it, and again have been very committed in the way and the shape that they're trying to defend. And then when they're trying to break forward very quickly, the press is quite obvious and quite blatant. They're not going to allow Villa time at the back, as we just saw Kudus with that yellow card on Mings. So there's a few areas already that I'm sure the travelling West Ham fans will like what they've seen.
He'll be delighted just to be back in the thick of it. 21 months out of the game, and he spent it doing lots of things with his family. I know that he was down in the Falkland Islands at one stage, talking to people down there. He's very big on developing the person as well as the footballer. He's a real student of life as well as a student of the game, but being in the technical area with Billy Reid one side of him, Bruno the other, he'll feel as though he's back at home again.
He certainly will. I saw him, I was speaking to Graham, I was working on one of the games over Christmas at Leicester, and had a good chat with him before the game, and anxious. He's been anxious for a while to get back involved. And don't forget, let's be honest, he's been preparing for this West Ham job for a while now. This hasn't come at him over the last 48 hours. He's been preparing for this one for a bit, so he'll have watched West Ham and watched them an awful lot lately.
And the fruits of that have been borne out from what we've seen in the opening 32 minutes, with his side leading by a goal to nil. Somerville's okay, still stretching on the near touchline. He's not back on yet as players restarted. Souček gets it forward. Kudus has got it. And Nana went in a little bit awkwardly and has fouled Kudus. And it's a free kick to West Ham. Let's get half-time details from Wickham with Talksport's Ian Abrahams.
League One, Wickham 2, Championship, Portsmouth 0. First goal scored by Brandon Hanley, and assist going to Gideon Kadua. The second, a free kick played in, headed home by Sonny Bradley. First goal for the club. Wickham 2, Pompey 0.
So 2-0 there. And here it's 1-0 to West Ham. And Villa, as things stand right now, will be the first Premier League team eliminated from the 24-25 FA Cup. They've got a terrible record over the last decade in this competition. They won at Middlesbrough last season in round 3. It was their first FA Cup win since they beat Wickham here in 2016. Shot comes in from distance from Kudus. Diving to his right, Olsen saved it, gathered at the second attempt. And just got there before Danny Ings was able to profit.
Yeah, just a little spill there. Nice shot from Mo Kudus, just outside the box, centre of the goal. Robin Olsen springs to his right, makes a decent stop.
Aston Villa still trying to get Maatsen isolated against either Wan-Bissaka or Somerville. It was Wan-Bissaka on that occasion. He defended it well. Somerville works the ball up the right-hand touchline. Ings is going to chase, but Konsa was there to mop up and goes back to the edge of the D for Robin Olsen, turning it forward for Kamara. Kamara 10 yards inside his own half, lays it back for Mings again. So I talked about that FA Cup record that Villa have got. The upshot of that is that they've lost each of their last 6 FA Cup ties here. That includes losses to Peterborough and Stevenage. The Stevenage defeat coming under Unai Emery very early on in his reign. And will it be a less than magnificent 7 straight home defeats in the FA Cup for Aston Villa? Looking that way at the moment, still a long time to go. They trail 1-0. Mings plays the ball down towards Maatsen. Maatsen will come in off the left flank, shown inside by Wan-Bissaka. Kamara now back towards Cash. Cash is 25 yards outside the West Ham penalty area, but travelling quickly, lays it out towards Bailey. Tielemans comes and shows for the ball in defeat, and then his touch is a little bit heavy and goes out of play for a goal kick. I think he was claiming it hit Kilman last, but goal kicks the decision.
Do you know, I think what's happening for Villa at the moment, Ian Maatsen is trying desperately hard to really sprint down this left side. He's almost level with Ollie Watkins and Morgan Rogers when the two centre-halves have got the ball on the halfway line. I think he needs to just temper that a little bit. I think he needs to, be in advance of his central defenders where he's available, but still leave that gully for Watkins, who always spins into those very well, for Rogers to pick the ball up and maybe run into a bit of space. At the moment, when Villa have got possession, where they're really congested in the middle of the park, West Ham, they're able to, I think, to nullify the threat of Rodgers and co, because there's not a lot of room. I think Villa just need to relax a little bit. Maatsen just check his run.
Cash has done really well to bring the ball out from the back for Aston Villa. Dropped his shoulders. It looked as though he was going to turn into trouble and took two West Ham players out of the picture in the process. Villa then get it forward down the right-hand side. Bailey goes to ground. I think West Ham have got a free kick. That's the upshot of this, but Bailey is the latest player to go down injured. We're going to have a stack of stoppage time at the end of this first half. He's just stretched, hasn't he, to try and get there, opened up his groin maybe.
Slipped a little bit there when there was a good chance actually of producing something there. Nice work from Cash from that right back position to get forward. Rolled the ball to Leon Bailey, who just slips and crumpled to the ground. And West Ham have the ball.
How can Villa get Rodgers and Watkins more heavily involved?
Again, I think they need more room to get involved. I think they're playing a little narrower, and I think because Maatsen's trying to be aggressive and push forward at every chance, Rodgers is drifting infield, and he's drifting infield onto white shirts, the West Ham shirts.
Kudus with a little flick. Wan-Bissaka tries to take it on. Saw one for Nanana. Play continues. Good little bit of ball juggling from Rodgers. Nanana's got it and pokes it through towards Rodgers, who couldn't quite bring the ball under control. He's maintained possession, but he's had to go back to Mings. Konsa now out to Cash, and Cash will bring it forward for Villa. West Ham got everybody back behind the ball, including Danny Ings for a moment. Konsa's just nudged it past him. Kamara are playing it out towards Cash over on the far touchline for Villa. 1-0 to West Ham with the goal from Lucas Paquetá. It was half an hour ago now. Here on Talksport, your FA Cup station. 10 third round ties live for you over the course of this weekend on the Talksport network. This the second of them after we brought you the game at Everton last night. Mings work forward. Here's Rodgers again. Rodgers taking it on towards the byline. Just curves a little left-footed ball in. Clipped into a dangerous area, but far too far ahead of Watkins. So Fabianski came out and dealt with it comfortably.
And again, Morgan Rodgers picking the ball up there, a couple of yards outside the box, slightly in a wide area, spinning down towards the byline to stand a cross-up. But he's easily marked there. Where Morgan Rodgers really comes into his own is when he picks the ball up 5 yards into West Ham territory, just over the halfway line. That's when he's impossible to stop.
Now I beg your pardon, Tielemans has got it. Tielemans coming forward towards the edge of the penalty area. We have Bailey ahead of him, and Tielemans hits the ball twice as hard as he needed to and looks up to the heavens in dismay as soon as it left his foot. Goes out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, that's been kind of pretty typical actually of what Villa have offered this evening so far. Yuri Tielemans, usually one who's so reliable with the ball at his feet. A simple 10-yard pass, and he hits it way too hard and it goes out for a goal kick and all the pressure relieved.
Just to underline the point that we're making about Ollie Watkins, he's only had 4 touches of the ball in 39 minutes so far.
And there's no room for him out there. That's what they've got to create, Villa. They're trying to swarm all over West Ham, but what's happening is when they get the ball, they don't really have a tremendous amount of options to go forward with it. I think Maatsen just play from behind the game a little bit more. Don't have to be quite so aggressive with his starting position so high. Let Rodgers drift. Let Ollie Watkins run into the gullies. West Ham now got 5 in a line at the back, and they're closing all the doors.
Mings flighted forward. Tielemans chests it down, and that one is too heavy as well. It just comes off his solar plexus and ricochets out of play for a goal kick that'll be taken by Fabianski.
Could he have hit that one, Jim? That's a ping that is from Tyrone Mings from the left-hand side to the right-hand side of the penalty area. Could he have maybe just let that come across his body and hit that?
Well, potentially. It didn't work what he tried to do, and Villa cutting a little bit of a disconsolate collective figure at the moment, trailing here by a goal to nil in the first FA Cup meeting of these two sides since 1980's quarter-final, which a late penalty from Tonka, Ray Stewart, one for West Ham. Villa had beaten West Ham 3 years before that, and back in the 1910s as well. That's been it in terms of FA Cup meetings between these two. Kamara, referee takes evasive action. Villa are able to bring the ball forward with Mings. Mings just shows too much of it to Somerville, who stands his ground, knocks it away. The subsequent contact between the pair of them was absolutely inevitable, and the collision sees West Ham awarded a free kick.
Good defensive work that from the Hammers. Again, as Villa started to progress, lots of pressure around the ball. They've done that very well. Souček and Alvarez in the middle of the park, and actually it starts with Kudus, Somerville. I think they've been very, very good in that respect. Without the ball, working exceptionally hard. You would expect that. With Graham Potter literally standing in that technical area, that's the very minimum requirement you would expect to get tonight, is maximum concentration effort, and they've given that so far.
West Ham's next away game, incidentally, is also here. They've got Fulham and Palace at home between now and then. The game's coming thick and fast for Villa with their European commitments as well. Everton and Arsenal away this week, then Monaco away. And after that West Ham game, they've got Celtic at home in the Champions League. And of course, we'll bring you all the games that matter in the Champions League in 2.5 weeks and 3 weeks' time. Ball played forward through the midfield. Danny Ings flicking it on. Tyrone Mings is able to pick it up inside the centre circle. The 21st and the 22nd, the next round of Champions League games. I've lost a week somewhere. This time of year, you're never quite sure what the day is, are you? But it's I think it's a Friday. But yeah, the 21st and the 22nd, so 10 days' time, the Champions League is back. And then the following week as well is match day 8, and we've got Europa League fixtures to complement those as well, including the small matter of Manchester United against Rangers. Kamara playing the ball forward inside the penalty area. Tielemans trying to put it on a plate for someone, and the backpedaling Somerville's had a good game, knocks it away. Then Kilman can head it further away outside the penalty area. Doesn't stay outside the box for long. A difficult one for Scarles. Watkins trying to wriggle away from him. Across comes Kilman, sticks his foot through it, allowing West Ham the chance to reset. It's a throw to Villa.
Better pressure from the home team. Leon Bailey very nearly getting to the byline there. Somerville does great with his defensive work. The ball actually squeezed along the 6-yard line. Somerville clears it.
And now Villa win a corner as Cash plays across in towards the near post. It's deflected behind off Paquetá. It's done well, Cree Somerville. It's not a role that he's played too often.
No. In an ideal world, Jim, that's the last place he wants to be. Right fullback of 5 defending players, but he's stuck to his task really well so far. Applied himself to it, thrown himself to it, concentrated, tracked those runs of Maatsen.
Well, Onana, as West Ham know from first-hand experience, can be so dangerous attacking these corners. With this one swung in, Fabianski, I think he got large on him pretty quickly, but he was able to punch it away. Kudus then tries to bring it out, looked as though he was fallen into, but he's back on his feet. Play continues, and Wan-Bissaka forces Maatsen to put it out of play for a throw that will be taken on the West Ham United right.
Wow, one through ball there over the top of that Aston Villa press, and Danny Ings would have been in.
Now they try that long ball over the top. Actually, Somerville's offside, and Conser had it covered anyway.
Yeah. But as we approach half-time, Villa, the last 15 minutes have been better. They're asking more questions now. West Ham have had to do some defensive work, and they've done it really well.
So Danny Ings has got it. And they make his way forward. Just try to thread it through for Somerville, who the last couple of minutes or so has been given much more licence to push forward. So much of his work tonight has been done in a defensive capacity, as we've outlined, but he has got forward from right wing back, and because he's got such a good engine on him so quick that he can get himself into some really good attacking positions. Young man Scarles has done really well. The 18-year-old wins that, slides the ball forward up the left-hand touchline, and it has stayed in. It rolled almost exactly up the line towards the corner flag. Conser has to race back to stop it going out of play for a goal kick, and will play it forward from the back. Fourth official Bobby Madley's got the numbers board in his hand. It could easily be 4 extra minutes at the end of this first half, and indeed that is what is being shown. Villa try and get a long ball over the top of Mavropanos for Watkins' run. There wasn't enough distance on the pass. They'll try it again. Cash for Kamara, for Tielemans. Now Kamara again, and towards that right-hand touchline. We are in those 4 extra minutes, and it's 1-0 to West Ham with Lucas Paquetá's 9th minute goal. Still the difference between the teams. Villa had a let-off from the same player before that. Chances very much at a premium at both ends of the field since. Konsa. Out of Kamara. Coming forward up the Aston Villa right-hand side. The former Marseille man, the defensive midfielder. Another player has had major injury problems in his time here. Getting to within 6 yards of the edge of the box after a couple of little 1-2s with Tielemans. West Ham defending very diligently, but Villa can work it forward towards Cash. Paquetá then does really well, just got in between Cash and the ball and stopped, and then contact was inevitable. Paquetá felt it, went to ground, gets the free kick, and a chance for the Hammers to draw a collective breath with 90 seconds of stoppage time play.
Yeah, they've defended comfortably, West Ham. And it's been 1 or 2 situations Villa have very nearly got in behind them, but largely they've looked composed with their defensive work. They've looked like they're together, good communication there. No one's charging around trying to do something on their own. Everyone knows when they're going to press or when they're going to sit and wait and stay. They've done that well. Without the ball, they've looked pretty good, West Ham. I mean, they've had 1 or 2 moments with it, got their goal, haven't done a lot really, haven't created anything since the goal, but I wouldn't expect them to. I would expect them to do more of the same. They've got a lead. Now what they've got to do is wait for that next opportunity, that next really good chance. And if they take that, then they're really in the driving seat.
Well, even under Lopetegui, they had a very good record protecting leads this season. When they went 1-0 up, they won 7 out of 10. And drew one of the others. Remember, if this is a draw after 90 minutes, it goes to extra time and then penalties. But with the Premier League fixtures being played next week, none of the Premier League teams want their tie to go to extra time this week. Bailey checking, can't get away, having pulled it back from Scarles, and he's gone down off the field. And Scarles perfectly at liberty to play on here, and he does that, lays it back towards Kilman to Mavropanos. It's not a head injury, he's off the field to play, Bailey, so play does continue.
Yeah, they should do. Keep the ball, West Ham. Don't need to knock it out.
Somerville with a nice little trick, dragging the ball with his right foot back behind his left leg. Then a crossfield ball picks out Scarles. Paquetá is quickly on the scene. He's 20 yards inside Villa territory. Bailey is now belatedly back on his feet, hobbling through the penalty area in a bid to rejoin play. Into the final minute of first half stoppage time. Here on Talksport, it's Villa 0, West Ham United 1, and Potter's men are good value for it. Kilman is inside the centre circle, nudging it forward towards Somerville. Kudus, Souček, Mavropanos on halfway. Just an exercise in keeping possession for West Ham till Mavropanos floats a long ball forward. Graham Potter not happy with that, and that might get mentioned in the team meetings. It did look as though keeping possession was the order of the day, running the clock down towards half-time, but that long ball forward was easily headed back. And Olsen can get Villa on the front foot in the last knockings of this first half. Maatsen goes back for Mings. Only 10 seconds of the first half to go. Mings to Kamara, nudges it away from Ings, but has to go back again towards Konsa. And time's going to beat Aston Villa here in this first half, when we get to the break with West Ham leading by a goal to nil. The odd isolated boo rings around. Only a very isolated poor reception from Villa supporters, but their side have got copious room for improvement. Lucas Paquetá had whistled one across the face of goal before scoring on 9 minutes, and the Hammers have protected the lead pretty comfortably since then. Excellent first 45 minutes for Graham Potter's man, Unai Emery, with work to do. Half-time, Villa 0, West Ham 1.
Well, tonight was meant to be a party celebrating the 150th anniversary of Aston Villa, but Unai Emery's marched down the touchline and down the tunnel with a face like thunder. Ian Maatsen, their left backs, just kicked a bottle of water away. He's frustrated with that first half performance, as are some of those Aston Villa fans who were booing as that half-time whistle went. However, there is life in West Ham United, who says the manager needs time to get their ideas across. One training session is all it's taken, and they've been transformed. Mr. Potter has clearly worked his spell in that first half, Andy Townsend. And you look at the stats, and although Aston Villa have had 65% of the possession, they haven't had a single shot in that first half.
Yeah, I think Villa, up until the last 15 minutes really, where they started to genuinely apply some pressure, I think have been pretty tame and pretty ordinary by their standards. West Ham, I thought, started the game better out of the two teams. I think what I've liked about West Ham, Hugh, is when they've not had the ball, the solid shape that they've got. They got Skulls, then they've got Kilman, Mavropanos, Wan-Bissaka and Crescencio Somerville almost playing as a back five, but doing it diligently and sticking to their roles and sticking with their runners, making sure that they see the danger out before they start thinking about running up the field and a counter-attack. Get your defensive stuff done right. Give yourself a base to move forward from. They've done that really well.
We had a chat, didn't we, in the press room downstairs about what system Graham Potter might play tonight. I felt it would be a back three. In the end, it looks like a fluid back five at times, then the three, then a back four. Is it twists? And we've seen Skulls push up high on the left-hand side as well. Wan-Bissaka lining up quite narrow, with Somerville doing a lot of work defensively, as we heard from Jim not too long ago.
Yep.
Essentially playing right wing back. Also, though, he's allowed freedom to go forward, and that's where the goal came from. He stretched down the right, supplied Lucas Paquetá, who slotted home beautifully. A real change in personality completely for West Ham.
Really good goal. Really good goal. As you say, a ball cleared. Füllkrug on the halfway line using his height, his physical prowess to nod it back and resist a challenge from Konsa, and then all of a sudden a switch out to the right side. Somerville high up the field now. Finds Paquetá, a lovely composed slot into the corner of the goal. Really, really good football, but Villa need to do a lot more. We've seen nothing of Rodgers. He's on the edges of it. Ollie Watkins hardly had a kick. Bailey, little bits now and again, but nothing significant. And in the middle of the park, they're struggling to really gain, I think, any genuine superiority, Kamara and Onana. So there's a lot of work to do for Villa to get back in this. I think they've been flat and a little dull so far, so they need to improve a lot.
They have had more control in the last 15 or so minutes of the game, so we'll wonder if they can build on that. Still never created a chance, really. Is that down to Bailey? Watkins, you mentioned, of course. Morgan Rodgers too, who we expect a lot from these days.
Yep.
Being absent, is that down to West Ham's defending more than anything?
I think tactically West Ham have been very good. I do think Maatsen is sprinting forward into this wide left position too soon. The ball sometimes is with Konsa and Mings, and he's level with the 18-yard box, Maatsen. Somerville's going with him. That forces Rodgers infield on top of Ollie Watkins, and they're struggling to connect the dots, Villa. They can't find those people. Sometimes, you know, when you need to get your forward players active and involved, it can be just turning your opponent round into some space. Morgan Rodgers hasn't had a second to get the ball out of his feet before he's got white shirts all around him and all over him. I think Maatsen just needs to relax a little bit, don't have to bomb forward quite so far, and give Rodgers the chance to maybe go in and also come out and find a bit of width, and then get the ball to him and then see what he can do.
The other thing we should mention in that first half is injuries, muscle injuries to be precise. The technology in front of me says it's -3 degrees here. It's something I've been noticing a lot over the Christmas period. We've seen squads rotate due to the number of games. Obviously, this is a competition where players who haven't played as often are being rotated. Nicholas Füllkrug, who's already been out for 3 months so far this season since his £27 million move to West Ham from Borussia Dortmund, looked like a significant hamstring injury for him. Ross Barkley has gone off with what looked like a calf injury as well. Crescencio Somerville was holding his hamstring. We can see Vladimir Kufal warming up just in front of us. He may be coming on very shortly as well. Is this all down to, 1, the temperature, and 2, rotation?
I think certainly. Look, the weather is playing a huge part. I think it is. Look, these are exceptionally cold evenings that we've had just over the last 3 or 4 days, and that can play a part. Whether they're all absolute, we know that the Füllkrug one is definitely a muscle injury. Not sure what Ross Barkley has done. Whether it's Somerville that is struggling a little bit and Soufal comes on, we'll have to wait and see. But he's going through his paces right now, so we're about to find out in the next few minutes here exactly who he'll make way for.
Okay, Andy Townsend, thank you very much. We'll be back with the former Villa captain and Jim Proudfoot for the second half very, very shortly. In the meantime, let's get the latest from Adams Park. Wycombe Wanderers at a healthy lead, taking on Portsmouth. Ian Abrahams.
And they still have it. 7 into the second half. Still Wycombe of the League 1-2 Championship. Portsmouth 0. First goal crazy down the right-hand side by Gideon Kadua, and in the end it was Brandon Hanlon that slammed it into the corner of the net. Second was a Luke Leahy free kick headed home by Sonny Bradley. He only joined Wycombe on loan from Derby on Tuesday, but he's already got his first goal for the club. 3 changes at half-time for Pompey, including the goalkeeper Schmidt on for Archer. It means that neither goalie that started the game are now playing in the second half because there was an early change in goal. George going off injured, and Bishop on for Wycombe, who at the moment could be causing the first big shock of the third round. It's League One Wycombe 2, Championship Portsmouth 0.
There are only 5 places beneath Portsmouth, if you know what I mean. I don't think it's that big a shot. But thank you very much, Ian Abrahams. We'll be back at Adams Park very shortly as well. But the big news this evening is that David Moyes' return to Everton as the club's manager is imminent. Talksport understands that he will sign a 2.5-year contract to replace Sean Dyche. Alan Stubbs was his captain previously at the club, and earlier he told Talksport he believes Moyes can win the fans over.
I would think there would be some fans who would be happy with the appointment, and there will be some that won't be happy with the way that he left when he went to Man United. There's still some who will have a gripe about that. But the only way you can get rid of that is by winning games of football. He could easily have a quick fix and win them fans over by winning games of football, because this fan base has not seen this team win enough games.
So we will have news on Everton as and when it drops, but big developments in the Premier League throughout the course of this week. Reports tonight as well that Manchester City have agreed a €40 million deal plus bonuses for the Lens defender Abdulkadir Kusanov. 20-year-old Uzbekistan centre-back is set to sign a 4.5-year contract with the option of a further year. He was signed by Lens from the Belarus top flight 18 months ago for 100 grand. So that's not bad profit for them in the shape of 18 months. And don't forget, Talksport, your home of the transfer window. Mr. Deadline Day himself, Jim White, and our chief football correspondent, Alex Krupp. We're going to bring you unrivaled coverage of the most hectic time in the football calendar. The Transfer Notebook is out every Tuesday and Friday on the Talksport YouTube channel. For even more content, you can listen to the podcast every weekday as well. From wherever you get your usual podcast from, you'll find it at talksport.com as well. TalkSport's Transfer Notebook throughout the whole of January. Make sure you check it out. So far here tonight, West Ham United are unrecognisable from the team that Julian Lopetegui left behind with his sacking earlier this week, because Graham Potter's new team are more organised, more creative, more dynamic, and they're halfway to a place in the FA Cup 4th round. At the break, live on TalkSport, it is Aston Villa 0, West Ham United 1.
The Emirates FA Cup, live on TalkSport with Carly.
What a drive, what a goal! Oh, yes!
The official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, always drink responsibly.
Total Football is about teamwork. It's built on trust, support, and responsibility. LiveScore Bet sees responsible gambling in the same way. So if you're under the cosh, it's time to slow the tempo down. We've got tips and advice on how to stay in total control of your betting. Visit the safer gambling section of livescorebet.com to learn more. LiveScore Bet. Total betting. Bet responsibly. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
Hi Gemini, the football transfer window's open. How are my team's stats looking?
Well, your team definitely has a lot of star power.
Do you think we're going to have a good season?
It's going to come down to consistency and a little bit of luck on your side.
I'll let you know if we win.
I'll be keeping an eye on the scores.
Yeah, me too.
Now we're talking. Transfer to Google Pixel 9 with Gemini Live today. Sequences shortened. Gemini Live available for ages 18 plus. Internet required. Results are illustrative. Check responses for accuracy. Feature and account compatibility limitations apply.
Put yourself at the heart of the action with Betfred's Bet Builder. With our new Bet Builder Bundles feature, you can combine multiple bet builders across different matches into one accumulator. Choose one of our pre-selected bundles in shops or create your own. Betfred's Bet Builder Bundles. Love football, Betfred. Selected matches and in shops only, 90 minutes only. Maximum stakes apply. Markets made available at Betfred's discretion. T's and C's apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Julie could part exchange her car. Or check out We Buy Any Car. She could be unsure if she got a good deal part exchanging. Or have cash in the bank with more bargaining power to get a bigger car for her five-a-side team. Totally played. Or total player. To get a quote in 30 seconds, enter your reg number now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Whatever kind of football fan
fan you are, Talksport and the Coral Daily Download are here for it to celebrate the fans every day. Whether you're a front row seater or a prawn sandwich eater, a half and half scarf wearer or a lifelong faithful torchbearer, a retro shirt for every game or bare-chested, even in the rain. For all the latest news, reaction and odds this season, don't miss the Coral Daily Download every morning from 6 on Talksport. With Coral, we're here for the fans. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Full-on Friday night football. On DAB, online, and on your smart speaker. This is Game Night on Talksport.
Well, Lucas Paquetá's lovely slotted finish on 9 minutes. The difference so far as West Ham look to spoil the party here at Villa Park tonight and make their way into the fourth round of the FA Cup. Live here on Talksport. The 150th anniversary match for Aston Villa in front of us at the moment. Some of the great and good of Aston Villa's history parading around the ground, and they will be awarded with some ceremonial trophies in a few moments as well to thank them for their time at the football club. Let's, before we move on, take a look at the halftime highlights in partnership with Carling.
Emirates FA Cup half-time highlights on Talksport with Carling. Get your mates together and enjoy the match with Carling, the beer of football. 18 plus, always drink responsibly.
So something's got to give tonight as Villa celebrate their history and West Ham start another new era. West Ham get it forward. Here's Somerville. They're taking on Maatsen, rolling across the edge of the area, and it's slotted into the bottom right-hand corner by Lucas Paquetá. 9 minutes into Graham Potter's West Ham reign. He's already worked some magic. The Hammers lead at Villa by a goal to nil.
There's a few areas already that I'm sure the travelling West Ham fans will like what they've seen.
Indeed they will. They went absolutely ballistic after that opening goal, and I have to say they've really enjoyed the performance from their team so far. Delighted to see Graham Potter in the dugout already having an effect. That was all thanks to Carling.
Emirates FA Cup half-time highlights on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, always drink responsibly.
So, as we mentioned a few moments ago, Vladimir Coufal being put through his paces during this break. Looks like he could be coming on, maybe not on the stroke of half-time, but very soon indeed. We know Crescencio Somerville had been holding his hamstring, the back of his right leg, during most of that opening period. He has, though, been exceptional for West Ham so far. Alongside me, inside Villa Park, the former Villa captain, Andy Townsend. If I'm Graham Potter right now, I wonder what I'm saying to the players that I've only known for 24 hours about that performance so far, because you don't want to change anything, but it is the FA Cup. We know there's a lot of rotation, the need to give some players some minutes as well. What will his thinking be about for this second 45 minutes? Is it all about getting a victory?
I think the first thing he'll have done will applaud his players for what they've done. Concentration, make sure that they get back in their numbers, that they retain that ability to stay composed with their defensive work, and then when they get the chance now, second half, a little more possession in Villa territory, a little more considered possession. I don't just mean a counter-attack, I mean have the ball a little bit more now in Villa territory.
West Ham have just emerged from the tunnel here at Villa Park. There is no Crescencio Somerville out with the team. Where do you think Vladimir Coufal will he replace him like for like?
Well, I think if you're going to try and replace, I would imagine that Aaron Wan-Bissaka has the role that Somerville had, looking to use his energy and his pace to get forward when they can and track those runs. And Maatsen and Coufal will just tuck in a little bit alongside Mavropanos and Kilman. He may go the other way. I doubt it.
Just to let you know, Wickham still lead Portsmouth by 2-0 in the other game tonight in the FA Cup third round, and on 62 minutes Hamilton lead Partick by 1-0 here in the Scottish Championship. We just seen someone take a big slip right in front of us out on the pitch here at Aston Villa as they try to curl the ball into the goal. Eventually one of the ex-Villa players does put it away as Aston Villa make their way out onto the pitch with a lot of work to do despite the scoreline. They didn't have a single shot at all in that first 45 minutes, but they will look to overturn things in the second here. At the break, live on Talksport, it is Aston Villa 0, West Ham 1, in the company of the former Villa captain Andy Townsend and Talksport's Jim Proudfoot.
Hugh, thank you very much indeed. So the two sets of players out for the second half. And it does look as though it is going to be Wan-Bissaka who will be playing out right wing back with Safal at centre half for West Ham in this second period. Andy's got it absolutely spot on. Villa in this commemorative kit for their 150th anniversary. Black shirts with no sponsor, no names on the back of the shirt either. Big white numbers, white shorts, black socks, but still a multitude of colour of boots. Of course, that goes without saying. West Ham, white shirts, claret shorts, and Villa attacking the Holt end in this second half. Villa, Olsen in goal, Cash, Concert, Mings and Maatsen, Anana, who came on for Barkley alongside Kamara, Bailey, Tielemans and Rodgers, and Watkins, who are back underway for the second period. West Ham, Fabianski in goal, and now a back five of Wan-Bissaka, Safal, Mavropanos, Kilman and Scarles. Then Soucek, Alvarez and Paquetá in midfield, with Kudus in support of Ings, who came on for the injured Fulkrug in the first half up front. The ball at the feet of the goalkeeper Robin Olsen, who steered it through the midfield, survived the West Ham press, but as it was a real something or nothing ball that went into the feet of Anana, and he did well to be able to steer it away, and Villa will get it out towards the left-hand side here for Maatsen. I'm delighted to say Villa legend Andy Townsend alongside me for the second half.
Yeah, West Ham really, I thought, played very well. Nice controlled performance from them in the first 45 minutes. Villa, again, we've seen them play here, Jim, you and I, and reached really high standards. Need to produce a lot more than they did first half.
Ball over the top for Cash. Kilman across the cover, puts it out for a throw right down by the corner flag, which is going to be taken by Leon Bailey. Well, has the referee given a corner? Well, the assistant has, I thought, flagged for a throw. I beg your pardon, is it a corner, is it a throw? No, it is a throw that Cash is going to take. Bailey had put it down on the corner quadrant, but he was in the wrong. So it's a throw. Cash has taken 1-0 West Ham lead for an excellent first 45 minutes. Kamara working the ball forward. Straight to Ings, though. One back by Anana in the midfield. Bailey can turn, so there's space for Tielemans as he picks it up in the centre. Even more for Tyrone Mings coming forward. Mings just slows it down a little again, goes out towards Maatsen and then gets a return ball. Now there's no real speed of thought really from Villa as they work the ball through the midfield at times.
Yeah, it's all in front of West Ham at the moment. It's pretty much the way it was in the opening 45 minutes. The odd little clip ball in behind, but everything at the moment is in front of the Hammers and they're comfortable with it.
Now Kamara gets it out towards the Villa right-hand side for Cash. Well, there's briskly played back to him. Alvarez has a little nibble and missed Kamara. It is best to foul him. He didn't manage to do that. And it ends up going out of play for a throw, which Cash will take. Again, down by the corner flag. He's taken it quickly back towards Kamara. We're 2.5 minutes into the second half. There's still Villa 0, West Ham United 1, and now it's a West Ham throw. Yeah. Going to be taking their left-back position.
Sloppy in possession there. Kamara and West Ham now with young Ollie Scholes, who played nicely in the first half. Got forward when he could, joined in when he could in those forward areas, made sure he got back and done his job on Leon Bailey and did it pretty well.
Yeah, just 18 years of age, the latest player to come through the famed West Ham Academy. Well, they had that extraordinary run in the FA Youth Cup in winning it, and winning it convincingly a couple of years ago. Ball with Robin Olsen at the back for the Villa. Played out of the left-hand side for Tyrone Mings. Now clipped through the midfield, and good run from Morgan Rodgers. He's got Watkins ahead of him, maybe just drifted into an offside position. That sowed an element of doubt in Rodgers' mind whether to play the pass or not, and as soon as he hesitated, West Ham won it back. Didn't have it back for long. Villa can come again, work it forward down towards this near touchline there right this time. Back from Cash. Kamara's got it. Movement from Bailey across the edge of the area. He was used as a decoy. Goes instead into the feet of Tielemans. Now Bailey's played in to Cash, to Kamara, hooked inside the area. Kudus came back and missed his kick. It's a slice ball in from Maatsen, trying to drill a low ball across the edge of the 6-yard box, and it's come off the top of his foot and shanked straight out of play into the hoardings in front of the Holt end for a goal kick.
Yeah, it's a very considered, patient build-up from Villa tonight, which, again, I think is playing into West Ham's hands. I think it's allowing them to recover and get back and be as solid and as I mentioned earlier, composed as they have been. I think that's because Villa get to a point and they check out, they go out the other side, get up towards the edge of the box, come back across again, etc., etc. And it's allowing West Ham to recover. It's frustrating. A lot of the Villa fans, I think they want to see their team play a little quicker, a little more spontaneously through these lines and really get at West Ham a bit.
West Ham United have a free kick. One player that might be able to provide that kind of attacking impetus for Aston Villa is Daniel Marlon. It looks as though he is going to be a Villa player at some stage next week. His move seemingly imminent. Jadon Philogene leaving the club to go to Ipswich in a £20 million deal. Scarles with a crossfield ball for West Ham, and Manson had to make sure he had his angles right there to trot back, keep his eye on the ball as it was just about to drift over his shoulder and headed away.
Yeah,
because Wan-Bissaka was lurking.
Certainly was. Right idea from Scarles on the halfway line in his left foot, tried that big switch out to Wan-Bissaka, very nearly got it.
Rodgers eased to the ground. Free kick which will be taken by Villa on halfway. We mentioned in the first half Villa's poor record in the FA Cup in recent times. West Ham, who've only got to the quarter-final once in the last 13 years, they've only had one win away to Premier League opposition in the FA Cup since 2006. That was when they beat Brentford at this stage a couple of years ago. First since they won at the Etihad on their way to the final back in 2006. Villa get the ball forward here. Cash is offside. The opening 6 minutes of the second half, there's been no discernible change really, Andy, to the pattern of play.
No, again, just there, Matty Cash in an advanced position, this time down the right side. He salutes the ball from Amadou Onana, but he's just stepped into an offside position. That West Ham back line nice and together, holding that line properly, and Cash just runs offside a little too quickly. But again, the game stops, and the more stop-start it is, it's much better for the visiting team.
Now you're with Talksport and Sirius XMFC across North America. Hi to you if you're in Canada and the United States listening on this afternoon. 1-0 West Ham leading here. A little bit of breaking football news. Plymouth have confirmed Miron Muslic as the club's new head coach, succeeding Wayne Rooney on a 3.5-year contract. He'd most recently been at Cercle Bruges. Now the new manager of Plymouth Argyle, Miron Muslic, getting the Argyle job. He's got a big job in hand, bottom of the championship. Scarles heading the ball forward. One back by Onana in the midfield. Alvarez wasn't sure where the ball had gone. It went off his foot and it went to a West Ham player. And now Kudus can release Scarles in front of us. And he's taking on Cash and he's drifted inside the penalty area and he just pulled it back too far ahead of Alvarez, who didn't read it. And Rodgers can brilliantly turn away. Takes on a couple, then loses out to Souček. And West Ham end up with a throw. Great industry from Scarles, and Rodgers with the flamboyance, but then not with the touch to go with it after.
Well, he then had the chance to roll it to Leon Bailey. Just didn't do that and got the ball taken off him.
Now he's got the ball at his feet again after a mistake from Alvarez. And Rodgers can bring it forward. Watkins making a run ahead of him. He's trying to thread him in. His run, though, was well marshalled by Mavropanos. And out comes the underused Fabianski to make a save.
Really good work that from Mavropanos. That's the first time in the game Morgan Rodgers has picked the ball up 10-15 yards into West Ham's half with the chance to run with the ball. And we're literally, what are we now? We're approaching 54, 55 minutes. That's where Villa need to get him. That's when they become a different team, a tougher team to deal with.
Now, ball intended for Scarles, didn't get there. Bailey's got it. And will take it down towards the byline and then checks and comes back. He's inside the area now on his left foot. Works it across the edge of the box and Rodgers, off balance, skies one over the top right-hand corner.
Yeah, it's a tough one to hit. Good work from Leon Bailey. Down Villa's right. Comes back, checks in on the left foot. Rolls a really fast ball right along the edge of the 18-yard box. Centre of the goal. Morgan Rodgers on his right foot. Tries to hit it first time, shins it. Skies it well over the bar into the whole end.
9 gone in the second half. Fabianski in no hurry to get the ball back upfield. Villa's still waiting for their first attempt on target. They have now had 2 attempts off target, both in this second half. Tielemans back through the midfield for Watkins. Rodgers will take over, making his way forward. Souček with a very effective block, and Danny Ings with great work off the ball came back, got himself goal side. Souček pokes it forward. Kudus pressurised by Konsa. Ball ricochets back to the edge of his own penalty area, but Kilman is a calming influence there. He plays it forward, and Safal is eased to the ground by Onana, and a free kick is going to go West Ham United's way.
Nice work, as you say, from Max Kilman there.
No, it was Rodgers, I beg your pardon, that pulled him back.
Yeah, Rodgers just pulled back Sufal as he started to venture forward. And Sufal just had a little word with the referee, as if to say, hold on a minute, I was on my way, I was travelling forward there, as if to say, asking for a card. Nothing doing.
10 minutes into the second half. Villa 0, West Ham United 1. It's been that way since the opening 10 minutes. Lucas Paquetá with the goal, his 4th of the season, and the first under Graham Potter. And a free kick to West Ham, and again they're in absolutely no hurry to take it. Launched long by Mavropanos. The ball brought down by Paquetá, and it's ricocheted off him last. Oh no, it hit Cash last, and it's gone out of play for a corner. Only West Ham's second of the game.
Decent pressure that from Lucas Paquetá. Cash wasn't particularly happy with the call from the referee to give the corner, but West Ham have it. Now, again, these could be really important. The delivery, when you've got Mavropanos, you've got Kilman, you've got Souček, we know what he's like. He always seems to find a yard in a box and get away from someone, get the delivery right. Give those guys a chance.
Safal to take it, swings it in very deep. Olsen came out and got enough on it. It wasn't particularly convincing contact, but Yuri Tielemans won the second ball. Alvarez, then with a brilliantly timed challenge, stops the counter-attack in its infancy. West Ham bring it forward. Wan-Bissaka played the ball inside towards Kudus, then was brought down as he continued his run forward. And it's a free kick and a yellow card for Morgan Rodgers.
Yep.
The referee indicating, pointing to that incident and then also to the previous one upfield,
yes,
to indicate that it's the persistent infringement.
It's really good work from Alvarez initially to make that challenge on Yuri Tielemans when he was trying to gallop towards the halfway line, and then the ball goes to Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Morgan Rodgers tracking back, fouls him. Absolutely the right call from the referee to brandish the yellow card there.
So Morgan Rodgers in the book. Sunday afternoon we've got Tottenham at Tamworth and Arsenal against Manchester United, back-to-back on Talksport. That Arsenal-Manchester United game, our exclusive game. You won't hear it anywhere else on national radio. It's a 3 o'clock kick-off, and we're at the Lamb Ground, about 10-12 miles from here. 12:30 Sunday lunchtime. Tamworth against Tottenham. West Ham leading Villa, 1-0 up, looking for more. Scarles taking this free kick into a dangerous area, and it's a header away under duress. Cash got it clear. It would have been a corner, but he was pushed by Kilman, and it's a free kick that'll be taken by Villa inside their 6-yard box. 58 gone. Paquetá's goal, still the difference between the sides.
Yep. And again, whilst Villa have been more energetic last 5 minutes, they're trying to make something work. There's been a little bit more room around the halfway line. Alvarez and Souček not able to get quite so tight, and that will happen more as the game goes on.
So Cash has got it, checks back inside, play back for Boubacar Kamara. Now Tielemans showing too much of it towards Kudus, who was strong in the tackle and has won it, and he's rolled it square for Wan-Bissaka. He was followed back by Maatsen. So Villa have got their defensive shape back, but Safal can get the ball through the penalty area. Bounces once in the 6-yard box. Alvarez scamping after it, keeps it in. Works it back for the bearded Paquetá. He nudges it away from Bailey to find Scarles, the youngster wearing 57 for West Ham. Now Mavropanos out towards Safal. Safal to Wan-Bissaka. Hammers changing the line of attack very quickly from the left back over towards the right. There was an excellent ball in there from Safal, but just too far ahead of those waiting to attack it. Kudus. West Ham give it away, then win it back with Alvarez again, doing what he does so well. Former Dutch Cup winner in his Ajax days. So he played in 3 finals. Hoping to helped propel West Ham off to a winning start here in the 24-25 FA Cup campaign. So far so good, thanks to goal from this man, Lucas Paquetá. Worked back through the midfield towards Alvarez, and then Paquetá turns into the edge of his own penalty area, and Kilman's going to be able to get it forward.
Yeah, again, Villa just getting slightly frustrated as they move forward. Whenever they get within 30-40 yards of Lucas Fabianski, the final pass or the last touch or the decision has just not been there. And West Ham are able to have pretty comfortable possession on the edge of their own box. They've not really been overstretched. They're not scrambling for cover. Yes, there's been some pressure from Villa, but nowhere near enough. And I think the look on Unai Emery's face, he cuts a pretty sort of frustrated figure in front of us, and right now we'll be thinking about, can I make some changes to affect what's happening out here?
Well, he's got Buendia, Digne, Nedeljkovic, Bukhara, Ramsey, and then youngsters Jimmo and Burrows that he can call upon if he decides to ring the changes, when he decides to ring the changes. Hammers have got it again now, and that was a push on the top of the shoulders of Safal, and another free kick to West Ham. This one about 12 yards inside Villa territory over on the far touchline. Absolutely no doubt who the happier of the two managers is. It's going to take a little bit of time to get used to seeing Graham Potter in the West Ham United big thick coat, but it's not one that's weighing heavily on his shoulders at the moment. It's been a really impressive first hour of his reign. The side leading 1-0, good value for it, as we've been saying, but long way to go. Tielemans playing it forward, gets a second bite of the cherry as the first ball hit Alvarez and comes back his way. Kamara's got it. Kamara going back behind square for Konsa. Forward from him to Mings. Bubbles ringing out from the travelling West Ham United supporters over on the far side. It's Kamara again. Just rolling it forward inside the penalty area. An opportunity for Watkins to try and turn back. It goes towards the edge of the penalty area for Tielemans. Villa fans on the hold end urging him to shoot. Thought better of it. Goes back towards Kamara again. Once more to Tielemans. West Ham just forcing Villa to continue to play this in this big broad semicircle around outside the penalty area. Rodgers, he goes back for Maatsen, back from him towards Mings. Mings poking it forward. Tielemans, now Kamara can come onto it, makes his way forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Cash is waiting. Will he be able to drop his shoulder and beat Paquetá? Not this time. Work back instead towards Kamara, and Villa retrace their steps again. West Ham can push a little bit further out, so the semicircle around the edge of the penalty area that little bit wider as Villa continue to play along it. Tielemans has got it. Tielemans down towards the West Ham United right. No, the Villa right. Cash. Back into his path. Right hand side of the box. Whips in the cross which hits Alvarez and goes out of play for a Villa corner.
Well, very patient possession football there from Villa, 40 yards from West Ham's goal. They just can't see that ball at the moment into Watkins on the edge of the box or Rodgers in and around it. It's just not, those options haven't been quite there, but they do have a corner on the right side.
There's been more possession for West Ham in the second half than they had in the first. Villa with an opportunity now with their first corner since half-time. Their fourth of the game. Very congested 6-yard box again as it's swung across the edge of the penalty area and cleared. Back from Maatsen, out towards Bailey. Bailey, edge for Tielemans, and what did that hit as it comes inside the penalty area? The corner has been given. There's no VAR. They can appeal that it should have been a penalty. It was a sliding challenge which came in, I think, from Paquetá, but it's a corner that's been given.
Without VAR, you got no chance of making a call on that, the referee. It's Alvarez that goes to ground. Yuri Tielemans right on the byline trying to cut it back. No, and it hits his foot first anyway, then bounces up onto his hand. Big appeal, of course, from everybody in the Holt end, but no chance for a penalty.
No, VAR wouldn't have overturned that. No chance.
No way.
I think they got it right in terms of VAR this year. They're not bringing it into the fifth round, and then it's going to be everywhere. In comes the corner, low and flat. Maatsen then rifles it in as it was half cleared, and his volley is blocked, and that gives Kudus a chance to launch a one-man counter-attack. Villa got bodies back quickly. Cash aiding Maatsen's course, And Villa have survived it and will turn it forward again. Now Bailey in space on the right. Tielemans with a really poor attempt to try and find it. And Scarles could easily cut it out.
Oh, what a chance there. And you wouldn't have wanted anyone better than Yuri Tielemans to try and find a 30-40 yard ball. A bread and butter pass out to his right winger, Leon Bailey. And he knocked it straight towards Ollie Scarles, who said thank you very much, stepped in and pinched it. Once again, West Ham now have the ball at the back.
Yeah, the calibration's been off on Yuri Tielemans' passing radar all night, really. By his high standard, such a gifted playmaker with the ball at his feet. He should have been able to hit the space for Bailey to run onto, particularly as Bailey's so quick that didn't really need a huge amount of accuracy. There was a lot of ground for him to try and hit. Wasn't to be. Villa have it again at the back with Konsa. We played 20 minutes of the second half. And the Hammers have led for nearly an hour. Tielemans played back for Konsa. Remember, extra time and penalties on the agenda tonight, if necessary. They're not necessary at the moment. Scarles, again, doing well to read a through ball. And then could feed Kudus, having cut out the latest forward pass from the Villa. And it goes out to Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka linking up well with Safal, who came on as a half-time substitute for the injured Cree Somerville. The Hammers, if you're just joining us, lost Fulkrug to what looked like a serious hamstring injury in the first half, which is why Danny Ings is on. And Villa, for their part, lost Ross Barkley to injury, and Anana came on in the first half.
Well, at the moment, whenever West Ham have got comfortable possession at the back, Villa still standing off, letting them do that. I think at some point they've got to go after it. That's better.
And they have won it back, and here is Watkins driving towards the edge of the penalty area, setting up Bailey. Right-footed effort is blocked, comes back out for Tielemans, and he's dragged it wide. Looked as though it took a deflection. Yeah. Tielemans certainly thought so, but a goal kick's been given.
It did look like it took a little deflection off a white shirt there. But Leon Bailey had the initial strike, come out to Yuri Tielemans on the edge of the box. Got a bit of traffic in front of him. There is a little nick off Ollie Scarles, but again, not one that the referee's going to spot.
You're listening to Aston Villa against West Ham in the FA Cup. And it's on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly. Ball launched forward. Danny Ings is offside. He's then kicked the ball away, but isn't going to be punished for that. It will be a free kick for the offside. Let's go back to Wickham, who were 2 up against Portsmouth the last time we heard from Talksport's Ian Abrahams.
Still the way of it. 5 minutes to go. It's League 1 Wickham 2, Championship Portsmouth. There's not really much sign of a pumping comeback here, Jim. It's 2-0 to Wickham.
2-0 to Wickham there, 1-0 to West Ham here. And so the 2 ties tonight, both in favour of the side that is the lower of the 2 in the footballing pyramid. West Ham 6 places below Aston Villa. Wickham probably only 5 or 6 places below Portsmouth. Here's Cash, right hand side of the penalty area. It's a good ball in. Watkins with 2 defenders on him couldn't get enough purchase on the ball that was played in to make anything like a decent attempt at the near post, and Fabianski bends down and makes the save. Villa are going to be bringing Ramsey, Nedeljkovic and Buendia on in a moment.
3 changes. That was a brilliant ball from Robin Olsen. Goalkeeper pinged one to Matty Cash, who made a great run. One little cross, and then Ollie Watkins nearly on the end of it.
Villa warming to their task now. Bailey coming inside the penalty area. Tielemans, another excellent block. It was Kilman that threw himself into the line of fire. Really well defended. And then a shot comes in, which is well saved. Diving down to his right-hand side by Fabianski. And Mavropanos stops the rebound going out of play for a corner. But this is better from Aston Villa.
Much better. A little bit more room out there as West Ham are getting a wee bit tired. There's a little bit more room, and they've just started to exploit that. A couple of shots coming in from distance, and Fabianski having to get his hands and his gloves dirty.
Midway through the second half, 1-0 to West Ham. This last 5 minutes, probably Villa's best 5 minutes of the game. Kamara playing the ball down towards Cash. Cash trying to get round Paquetá. Scarles with the block. Out of play for another corner. Villa fans around us, you sense, beginning to believe that they might be able to salvage this now. That's McPhee, the set-piece coach for Aston Villa, is not happy with what he's seen in the positioning some of his players are taking up for this corner. I think he wants 2 or 3 to go deeper than they are inside the penalty area. Tielemans is going to take the corner. Aston Villa's 6th of the night. It's going to be a right-footed away swinger, unless he goes short for Bailey, but the signs are that he's going to go in deep. Mings makes his way towards the far post now. It's fired in towards him and headed away by Kilman. Picked up by Kamara. Right-footed effort across the face of goal and some way wide. They're caught in 2 minds between finding Watkins and finding the top right-hand corner. It has taken a deflection on its way through and it's had to play for another corner. So the triple Villa change is put back on hold again. Another chance to work it in. Bailey's gone across to the corner quadrant to take this himself. They think, the 2 players standing over this, Tielemans and Bailey, that the changes are going to be made now, but they're not. Tielemans moves away, so it's going to be a Bailey in-swinger this time. Skarl standing on the near post. Plenty of traffic in front of Fabianski. He's taking a near post flick. Chested down outside the box for Maatsen. And Onana! And it's 1-1. And he's done it against West Ham again. Just like on the opening day of the season. Corner cleared as far as Maatsen. Venomous shot from him. Half save. But Onana was there to tap it in. West Ham have led for more than an hour. But Villa are back in the FA Cup sides. One apiece.
Well, Lucas Fabianski is protesting furiously. It's something he's not happy about. I'm not quite sure what it is. Oh, I'll tell you what it is. It's the fact that the shot that preceded the corner from Onana didn't get any sort of deflection at all. But Villa got a corner. From that corner, it was clipped to the near post. Mings glances it on. It comes to Maatsen on the edge. He pings it. Fabianski spills. And Onana is there to stab it in from about a yard out. And that is a big goal, but that looked very much, just seeing a replay on our monitors, Jim, it looked like it wasn't a corner. Of course, we don't have VAR tonight. Mind you, that wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have seen a change in that anyway. But certainly Lucas Fabianski looks like he's disappointed with that initial decision to award Aston Villa a corner. But from there, Onana stabs it in and they're right back in it. There's something as well going on at the back post. There's a West Ham player laying down when that corner come in. Let's have a look. Looks like it's Lucas Paquetá and Ezri Konsa. Paquetá's just trying to block him. And Paquetá goes down holding his face. He'd have been better to stick with his man instead of trying to hit the floor.
1-1 then, with 19 minutes to go. Villa have now made the triple change. Buendia, Nedeljkovic and Ramsey for Kamara, Cash and Bailey. So Villa now with Nedeljkovic at right back, Konsa, Mings and Maatsen. Onana in the centre of midfield with Tielemans playing that little bit deeper now. Ramsey, Buendia and Rodgers and Watkins. Mings playing it forward. 1-1 at Villa Park with Onana's equalising goal on 71. Watkins playing the ball out towards the Villa left for Ramsey. Ramsey working around the corner for Ian Maatsen. Maatsen stumbling as he tried to get inside the penalty area. It was cleared by Wan-Bissaka. Had a play for Aston Villa, and the equalising goal has come at the end of their best spell of pressure in the game.
You're right, Jim. It's been a consistent spell of pressure, hasn't it? For the first time in the game, really, where Villa have looked like they've started to just drag West Ham a little bit more uncomfortably out of position.
Mings gets it forward. And Tielemans rolling down the left-hand side of the penalty area. And Watkins will let the ball go over the line. That definitely is the corner. Down the hold end. I was going to say gets to its feet. They've pretty much stood up in unison all the way through. Tielemans gets a big ovation from those Villa supporters away to our right-hand side as he comes across to take this. It's going to be a right-footed in-swinging delivery with 16 minutes of normal time to go. Could go to extra time, remember. Penalties after that if necessary. We'll get a winner and a loser tonight. In comes the corner. Everybody flooding towards the near post. It was hit in a little bit too deep. Villa get it back with Konsa, the right-hand side of the box, but he's got there by fouling Paquetá. And it's a free kick that'll be taken by West Ham inside their own penalty area. 16 left, 1-1 between Villa and West Ham United.
Well, Nedeljkovic has come out into the right-back position as expected. Jacob Ramsey off the left. And Emi Buendia also in that number 10 position, just in and around Ollie Watkins. But Villa need to try and keep that tempo there. Graham Potter now about to make some changes.
It's good to see Buendia back for Villa. I mean, he started both the League Cup ties. Those are the only starts that he's made since May 2023 because of that desperate ACL injury that he had. He's come off the bench on numerous occasions this season, but only for 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Could get best part of 45 minutes tonight, depending on what happens. West Ham are going to be bringing Aaron Cresswell on very shortly, but Villa are on the front foot and are rampant. Buendia getting it out towards Watkins, inside the box, the angle's tight, rolling square, and Morgan Rogers is there. They turn it around with 2 goals in 5 minutes. And on a night when Aston Villa are celebrating 150 years of the club, they've been very poor and one-dimensional for an hour, but they've been great for 15 minutes, and that 15 minutes has seen them turn the game around. They're 10 minutes away from round 4.
Brilliant goal. And again, the initial pass to find Buendia, who's just in behind West Ham's midfield on the halfway line, was perfect. He then feeds Watkins. All of a sudden, West Ham are stretched at the back. Watkins, little step over, knocks it across the 6-yard box. Morgan Rogers is there to apply the finish in, the one-touch finish to knock it past Fabianski. As you quite rightly say, Jim, look, Villa as an attacking force, non-existent for an hour, but the last 15 minutes they've turned the heat up and West Ham haven't been able to cope.
And he's now scored in his last 3 games at Villa Park. Morgan Rogers' 10th goal for the club, 7 of them this season. And they lead by 2 goals to 1. West Ham have made a change in the immediate aftermath of that goal. Cresswell for Scarles at left wing back. Aaron Cresswell on for his 357th West Ham United appearance. What a great servant he's been. He's due an FA Cup goal. His last one came 15 years ago. It will be a pretty timely moment for him to break that long drought now, but there's no sign really of West Ham being able to get out. They've been stuck inside their own half for the last 15 minutes or so. 2 goals in 4 minutes. West Ham 1-0 up now, 2-1 down, and an opportunity for Tielemans to take this free kick. Bent inside the penalty area, headed clear, right-footed, volleyed effort from Buendia, and it hit the tiring Alvarez. Ricochets down towards the near touchline. Paquetá chasing after it, and Nedeljkovic, the young Serbian international, did really well. Paquetá then goes down off the ball, got caught by Konsa, and it's going to be a free kick to West Ham. Let's get full-time details from Wickham. Ian Abrahams.
Wickham 2, Portsmouth 0. Both goals in the first half. Kadua for Hanlon for the opening goal. Free kick by Leahy, headed in by Bradley for the second. Pompey cheered on by 1,500 fans. Never looked like getting back into it. League One beats Championship. Wickham 2, Portsmouth 0.
Lucas Paquetá, we've seen a replay, went down holding his face.
That's a ridiculous decision.
He got caught in the chest.
I'll tell you what, and by the way, brushed his chest. Esri Konsa's got the ball at his feet. He's got his arms up, just protecting his space. And Paquetá merely got brushed by him, hit the floor and got the free kick.
2-1 to Villa. In a game in which they trail for more than an hour. Here's Mohamed Kudus. Left-footed effort from him is blocked. West Ham desperately need to try and get themselves on the front foot more readily than they have been. Haven't been an attacking force for a while. They've lost it here. It was Mavropanos with the Yara Villa getting it forward quickly. Ramsey hits the post, and that surely would have won it. Comes back out for Watkins. Watkins, Buendia, quick feet from him. Couldn't set up Watkins for another attacking opportunity, and Souček's foul.
Oh, what a strike.
But it was brilliant from Ramsey, and he was 2 inches away from making it 3-1.
When you see Villa break from the halfway line like this, with pace, with Watkins, with Rogers, Buendia, Ramsey, a completely different outfit. First half, West Ham got their goal, sat quite low, and Villa didn't have any solutions, no answers to it. But as the game's gone on and there's been a bit more space, to their credit, Villa, they've dug themselves out of a hole and now look really dangerous. Now look like they can score whenever they get beyond Souček and Alvarez.
So there are 11 minutes of normal time now left. And there's probably 4 or 5 minutes of stoppage time to be added on top of that. What can Graham Potter do to try and get a response out of West Ham? Because they were great for an hour, but they've rapidly gone off the boil.
When we say great for an hour, they got their goal. They never created anything after the goal, to be honest, but they defended well, Jim. Without the ball, they looked solid and looked like they could hang on to their lead. Now they've got to show something in the other direction.
Second half, 13 attempts to 0 in Aston Villa's favour. And an XG of 2 for Villa, nothing quite clearly for West Ham. But the 80-minute mark upon us, still time for the Hammers to be able to launch something spectacular. Last FA Cup tie between these two back in the very early 1980s, settled by a goal much later than this. Cresswell plays the ball inside the penalty area and that's blocked, and Nedeljkovic will head it away, but Paquetá can pick it up, and then he fashions a ball with the outside of the left boot out towards the West Ham United right. It's play forward now towards Souček. Oh, Souček makes a foul ahead of him, but he hit it too hard and it's gone straight out of play for a goal kick that will be taken by Robin Olsen and Aston Villa. 2-1 Villa with 9 minutes to go.
Yeah. Danny Ings will be desperate for something to arrive in the box for him. He's hardly had a kick really, Danny, since he's come on. He's battled away and he's charged around up there and he's trying to offer himself, but West Ham just haven't really shown anything as an attacking entity. Now they've got to give someone like Danny Ings a bit of supply. They've got to give him a chance.
Another defensive mistake. Mavropanos, the guilty party. Kilman comes across and spares his blushes as Rodgers tried to roll it into Watkins' path. And he was just flicked away by Kilman in the nick of time.
Tell you what, Mavropanos tried to handball it. He's miscontrolled it. Why Morgan Rodgers tries to roll in Ollie Watkins? He should just travel with the ball. I mean, Mavropanos has miscontrolled it on the halfway line. Rodgers has got it. He's then thrown his head in, bravely, you might add, to try and stop Rodgers. He's never going to stop him in a million years.
He's literally tried to trip him up with his forehead.
He has. Yeah. But he's controlled him. His touch let him down. And there, if Rodgers just keeps going with the ball, then offers it to Ollie Watkins, well, I think they score there, Villa.
Two on the score. Ramsey's hit the post since then. West Ham are hanging on. And this is a self-inflicted injury for Mavropanos with a capital S. Rodgers was running past him. He stumbled and he threw himself in an attempt to try and get the ball. It wasn't an attempt to head the ball away, which was running across the ground. He literally tried to foul Rodgers as he made his way forward by throwing himself Superman style without the arms.
Correct, he tried to tackle him with his head, didn't he? He did. I mean, bravely. He had to do something because he knew that his poor touch and poor technique had allowed Rodgers the chance to sprint unopposed towards the goal. As it was, I don't think Villa utilised that particularly well.
Well, I don't know that he's necessarily going to be able to continue. Carlos Soler is being readied by West Ham. Well, they try to get a message down to one of the substitutes warming up. I don't know whether Andy Irving is going to be called back. They do have a young centre-half on the bench in Caelan Casey, who made his Premier League debut as a late sub against Luton back in May. And I think that Mavropanos has done himself some serious damage here and might be concussed. It certainly would have been a pretty fearsome whack that he took from the left leg of Rodgers as contact was made between the pair of them, because he was running at full pelt, Morgan Rodgers.
He was, yeah.
Mavropanos is now back on his feet. A chance for me to remind you what's coming up tomorrow on the Talksport network. Lunchtime, 2 games for you. Over on Talksport 2, Bristol City Wolves at 12. Here on Talksport, Liverpool Accrington at 12:15. Game day live with Ian Danter in the chair, Matt Ritchie, Scott Minto and Adrian Clark out and about for you. Ian at Norwich, Matt at Bournemouth, Scott at Brentford, Adrian at Reading. We've got it all covered Chelsea against Morecambe is your 3 o'clock kickoff. That's on Talksport 2. And then 2 games at tea time. Man City, Salford here. Leeds, Harrogate on Talksport 2. They're both 5:45 kickoffs. West Ham are going to make the double change. Mavropanos has come off. And Alvarez is going to be coming off as well. And they brought Carlos Soler on, and Luis Guilherme, the Brazilian winger, is going to come on. A player that they paid £25 million to Palmeiras for, and he's going to be coming on for the final 8 minutes or so. Final 8 minutes of normal time. In comes the corner towards the near post. There's a sharp piece of handling from Fabianski after a near post flick header. Fabianski in a hurry to try and get the ball upfield as quick as he can. Rolls it out towards Paquetá.
The delivery's been better second half on those set pieces from Villa, much better.
Ramsey. Play back towards Tielemans. Tielemans near the edge of the centre circle. Threaded forward by him towards Buendia. Buendia towards Nedeljkovic. Nedeljkovic on the right. Good ball in. Fizz towards the corner of the 6-yard box, and that's knocked away. Goes out for a throw that'll be taken on the Aston Villa right. So Safal is now playing at centre half alongside Kilman. Guilherme is playing on the right wing. Wan-Bissaka on the right hand side. It is a back 4.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Carlos Soler, of course, in the middle of the park, as you would expect, but in order for West Ham to try and find something, they need the ball. Just haven't had enough of it second half, really. Villa have been tidier and have got in better positions.
Tielemans to Rodgers, who tried to squeeze the ball through. Wan-Bissaka knocked that away. Paquetá fouled by Onana, and it's a free kick that'll be taken midway between the halfway line and the edge of the penalty area. We've got 3.5 minutes of normal time left, but my guess is 8 minutes to be added, something like that.
Wow.
That is a finger in the air assumption, but I don't think 8's going to be too far away. Paquetá with a long crossfield ball, which is cut out by Maatsen, and Ian Maatsen can now bring it forward. Another goal for Villa, and they're surely through, but it's not going to come from this phase of play, because Maatsen has seen his run blocked off by Wan-Bissaka. Aaron Wan-Bissaka's right-footed ball curved inside the area, looking for Danny Ings. It's cleared out as far as Buendia. Onana poking it back for Nedeljkovic inside his own penalty area. Rodgers then guides it further clear, but Souček wins it back. Back from him to Safal. 2-1 to Villa, in a game in which they trailed from the 9th minute to the 71st. But 2 goals in 4 minutes from Onana and Rodgers have turned this cup tie around. It's going to be a first FA Cup win on home soil since 2016, unless West Ham can find a dramatic late equaliser to take the game to extra time.
Yeah. Well, they've got Aaron Cresswell wide on the left here in advanced positions. He's got that sort of left foot. He can drop something very useful into that box if they can find him.
Sunday here on Talksport. Tamworth Tottenham at 12:30. Arsenal against Manchester United, exclusive to Talksport. You can't hear it anywhere else on national radio at 3. And over on Talksport 2, Bromley's trip to Newcastle, as Newcastle look for an 8th straight win in all competitions. Andy Woodman against the club for whom his son Freddie used to play. That's Newcastle against Bromley, 3 o'clock Talksport 2 Sunday afternoon. Monday night, the local derby between Millwall and Dagenham and Redbridge. And then we're back with Premier League action Tuesday night on Talksport. Here's Paquetá, ball inside the penalty area, chested down by Kudus, knocked away by Onana, flicked it up with a second touch to find Yuri Tielemans. Ramsey's going to be able to bring it forward quickly. Getting it out towards the left-hand side for Ollie Watkins, who controls the ball and stops it stone dead on the halfway line. And then lays it back for Maatsen. And Aston Villa more than happy now just to keep possession and work it around at the back with 90 seconds of the 90 minutes left. 2-1 they lead. 4 towards Rodgers. Rodgers helping it on, coming to meet the ball. Deft little flick. And then Watkins plays it out towards Nedeljkovic. Rodgers making his way forward at the far post, but the ball didn't have enough on it to get there. When Diaz slides in, Souček gets it past him. Kudus trying to flick the ball away from Konsa, but Paquetá couldn't get his tired legs there in time. And there's a coming together between Kudus and Konsa. which results in an Aston Villa free kick.
Yeah, chance there actually for Villa. Tell you what they've done very well, Villa, second half, is balls that have gone into Morgan Rogers in a central position, just in the centre circle really, and he's just clipping them round the corner. He knows that Watkins is there. They've combined nicely, then they get it wide, get it in the box. Look, a completely different team, Aston Villa, in the second period. First 10 minutes of the second half, much of the same, but gradually Villa started to wear West Ham down, send them backwards, just started to ask a few more questions, and have somehow turned the game round.
Well, we got 20 seconds of normal time remaining. And Bobby Madley's got the numbers board out again, so very nearly in stoppage time. Villa take the free kick and work it backwards from halfway inside their own penalty area. And Olsen will get it forward. Olsen's given it away. Paquetá, Kudus with the ball in behind the run of Souček. And Maatsen's going to be able to clear. It's only 6 minutes to be added on. I overestimated. Ramsey stumbles, maintains possession, works it back for Maatsen. Maatsen to Tielemans. He's lost out to Danny Ings. Ings to Luis Guilherme, the young Brazilian, coming in off the right-hand touchline and playing the ball back through the centre circle here for Kilman. Kilman for Paquetá. Paquetá. 3 Villa players around him. Somehow emerges with possession and finds Kudus. Out from him for Wan-Bissaka. Poor touch from him. Wow. And Maatsen can get it away when the cross should have been forthcoming inside the penalty area. The clearance is picked up by Safal. He goes back for Wan-Bissaka. Kudus has got it again. Back round the edge of the Villa box. It's hoisted high. Souček flicks it on. Ings coming round the back. And it's blocked in front of his goalkeeper by Rogers. At the expense of a corner.
Well, Aston Villa there have given the ball away about 4 times and asked West Ham to put the ball in the box, which Aaron Wan-Bissaka does very well. Souček climbs, can only get a glance on it, but it goes all the way to Danny Ings, that player in the 6-yard box, who I said has been gasping for some sort of service and a chance, and he very nearly found a way to squeeze that in. They get a corner instead.
Minute and a half into the 6th added. 2-1 to Villa. West Ham looking for an equaliser to take it to extra time. Cresswell, left-footed away swinger. Olsen comes out and punches, not very convincingly. Maatsen didn't really get too much distance on his clearance. And Cresswell gets another chance to fire one in. That's cleared out for Carlos Soler. And he's off balance. Hit it way over the bar.
Good pressure from West Ham, that's better. Better from them, just put it into the box. Get higher up the field, put it into the box, get numbers in and around it, get players on the edge of the box, something might drop for you. How many times over the years have we seen teams getting back into FA Cup ties, just put it in there and get bodies in there wanting to get on the end of it? The last 5 minutes, but only the last 5 minutes, West Ham have tried to do that, Jim.
Unai Emery has never beaten Premier League opposition in the FA Cup. He's 4 minutes away. Clearance comes from our left-hand side from Robin Olsen.
For Aston Villa, Jim, their best way, not to keep going backwards to Mings and going back to Conson, they go back to the goalkeeper. Get it into the channels and run it and tease a tackle or two. Get a free kick higher up the field.
Fabianski clears. Former FA Cup winner almost finding halfway. Only found Maatsen though. Maatsen heads it forward and then it's returned to him. Then he volleys it deeper. Safar losing out. Excellent play from Buendia. The fresh legs of the substitute, winning a throw, which will be taken by Aston Villa over on the far touchline there left. There's no Villa player that wants to take it. That's now reluctantly makes his way forward. A few more seconds running off the clock. Halfway into the 6 added minutes now. Villa leading 2-1, as they've done for nearly 20 minutes now. And turning it around with that dramatic 4-minute spell just past the midway stage of this second half. Guilherme losing out. Well, West Ham still get it forward towards Danny Ings. Now the break could be on. Kudus, good crossfield ball from him. Cresswell taking it on inside the penalty area. His eyes lit up for a moment. He wins a corner off Nedeljkovic. He must have thought just for a moment that might be the chance for his first FA Cup goal for 15 years. It wasn't to be, but they've got a corner.
Yeah, really good break from West Ham. Forced an error out of Villa, then switched it nicely. Kudus out to Aaron Cresswell. who's in that left-back position, but he sprints forward like a left winger into the box, hits his shot, and Nedeljkovic does well to block it for another West Ham corner. Cresswell with it.
West Ham one good set-piece away from taking this to extra time. Cresswell to take it in towards the near post. That wasn't a good set piece. Cleared out towards Safal. Cresswell sprints, gets himself back onside. Now hits it in deeper. Olsen comes out. He's lost it. Ings through a crowd, but over the bar. That might be West Ham's last chance.
Wow. Wouldn't have wanted it to fall to anybody else there, West Ham, than Danny Ings. Aaron Cresswell, the corner got blocked. It goes back out to him. He clips it up. Robin Olsen, with a load of traffic around him, flaps it a bit and drops to Danny Ings, who's the only player on the move. And his first touch gets stuck under his feet a bit. He has to shift it one more and then just gets underneath it. And it's a pretty tame effort in the end.
But by the time Robin Olsen takes the goal kick, Villa will be less than a minute away. And they work hard for this. They, for large phases of the game, weren't particularly convincing, but they warmed to their task, and it looks like they've got the job done. Poor goal kick from Olsen, straight out of play, and it's a throw which will be taken on the West Ham United left. One last chance to get it forward, but they've got to do so quickly. Cresswell into the feet of Paquetá. Paquetá turning and walks away holding his face. The referee says it's a throw to Aston Villa. And Paquetá saying to the fourth official, I just got caught in the face again. And fourth official Bobby Madley's unmoved. Nedeljkovic to take a throw. 15 seconds of the 6 minutes to go. Don't know how much more is going to be added on. Villa have got the ball in West Ham territory. If they can keep it there for just a few more seconds, they've won. Ball play forward by Buendia, over hit for Ramsey. Goes through for Fabianski. He launches it forward as quickly as he can. Kudus is going to get there. He's handled it though. He's a little bit unlucky as he's come off his chest onto his arm, but he gained a massive advantage from that, and that's the last action of an incident-packed game. And it's Aston Villa who are through to the fourth round. They've won an FA Cup tie at Villa Park for the first time in 9 years. It was a night when it looked as though Graham Potter's West Ham reign was going to start well. Lucas Paquetá giving them a 9th minute lead. They held that lead for an hour, but Villa slowly came good. Anada with the equaliser, Rodgers with the winner. The Hammers, the first Premier League side eliminated from the FA Cup this season, as Villa make it through to round 4. Aston Villa 2, West Ham United 1.
And these fans inside Villa Park absolutely delighted with that. They've already forgotten about that first half, where many of them were booing, because the second half absolutely brilliant from their side, and they really put West Ham United to the sword. Job done, Villa, you are through. I wonder, could you make a run to Wembley this year? Hammers fans, you go out, but you must be encouraged by what you saw from Graham Potter's debut. 03717 22 3344. You can have your say with the former Irons frontman Carlton Cole, who's on the way alongside Adam Cattrall with the Sports Bar Weekender. 03717 22 3344. Villa's next match will be David Moyes' return to Goodison Park and Everton on Wednesday evening in the Premier League. Arsenal, Monaco, and then West Ham once again at the end of the month are their next 3 games. Before then, West Ham have 2 London derbies, Fulham on Tuesday, Crystal Palace next weekend. Graham Potter's first 2 games at the London Stadium. Just a reminder, earlier in the FA Cup third round, League One Wickham having a great season under Matt Bloomfield, second in the table, and now into the 4th round draw thanks to a 2-0 win at home to Championship side Portsmouth. Andy Townsend, former Villa captain, alongside me. A very different second 45 minutes. 2 goals in 5 minutes with a difference. A corner that never should have been. Amadou Onana's shot high wide, and most importantly untouched by a West Ham player. The corner given cruelly. It was he who then tapped home after Fabianski spilled a Maatsen volley.
Yeah.
Morgan Rodgers, though, I think his goal kind of summed up the second half from Aston Villa. Incisive, dynamic, on the break, and they really cut West Ham to ribbons.
The one word out of all of that, Hugh, you just said dynamic. And that's what Villa couldn't find any dynamism in the first half. Second half, they found it. They got it. They found it in Rodgers in particular, again in space. Ramsey, when he come on, Watkins had the freedom to spin into a channel or two to just find a chance to run with the ball. And when they do that, Villa, then they're a very difficult team to deny. They really are. West Ham, I thought, were composed, defensively sound, and looked like they were happy to let Villa have the ball in front of them and cope and deal with that. After their goal, they didn't do it. They weren't particularly courageous in terms of going searching for a second, but they honestly didn't need to. Villa was so poor, and they were comfortable with everything that was happening until we got to about the hour mark, when Villa turned up the heat. They had a bit of possession. They just started to stretch and ask a few questions, got a few corners, got a few free kicks, and gradually you just started to feel Villa getting encouraged and getting on top of the game and getting into the swing of it. Eventually, once they got back to 1-1, there was only really one team ever looking like they were going to add to it.
I wonder what we learn about Graham Potter's West Ham. Obviously, it's his debut, only one game in charge, only one day to train with the team, but actually very encouraged by what they produced in that first 45 minutes. I think the second half underlined to us the few issues that there are at West Ham United, particularly with depth. They had another couple of injuries here this evening, but once the changes came, they really began to drop off in the match.
And again, when Aston Villa turned the heat up a little bit, they struggled legs-wise in the middle of the park. I thought Alvarez and Souček first half were excellent, blocking and denying space and getting a foot in and breaking things up. Second half, when there was more freedom, then all of a sudden Villa looked like they could run away from them and start to run directly at Kilman and Mavropanos. Mavropanos, he's a committed boy, he's a 100%er, but he has mistakes in him. I'm afraid he does. And this evening, as the game wore on, those mistakes became a little more evident for me, and it looked like Watkins and Rodgers and Ramsey and Buendia, when he come on, it looked like they could all of a sudden find their way to get behind West Ham finally to make it count. Villa weren't good tonight, not anywhere near as good as I've seen them here this season on a number of occasions. West Ham, I thought, again, there were positives for Graham Potter, but there are also a lot of solutions he's got to find in terms of that energy right to the final whistle.
Yeah, it looks like he might be without Mavropanos after a self-inflicted injury, you have to say, through the back of his head into Morgan Rodgers' knee.
Yeah.
And it looks like he could be out for a period. Nicholas Fulkrug, big hamstring injury.
So unlucky for him.
Crescencio Somerville didn't look as bad, but he obviously went off at half-time and he had been clutching his hamstring. Clearly, they need reinforcements in January, and that is where the West Ham ownership need to keep up their end of the bargain.
Hugh, I can't emphasise enough on a new coach coming into a club about, and Graham mentioned the word before the game, balance, about playing attractive football, but winning games, being defensively sound, seeing games out, suffering and coming through it and coming out the other side of it. That's balance. All of that stuff West Ham are going to need going forward. It's going to take time, not going to happen overnight.
Andy Townsend, former Villa captain, been a pleasure to be with you. And Jim Proudfoot tonight live on Talksport. Remember, 10 live commentaries for you over the coming days in the FA Cup third round. We head to Anfield next, 12:15 kickoff tomorrow, live on Talksport for Liverpool against Accrington Stanley. We'll have Game Day live at 2:15 with Ian Danta, Matt Ritchie, Scott Minto, Adrian Clark amongst the team with him, with all the goals as they go in, including Norwich against Brighton, Bournemouth, West Brom, Forest against Luton 2 at 5:45 live at the Etihad for Manchester City against Salford. There's a triple header on Talksport 2, midday Bristol City against Wolves, 3 o'clock Chelsea Morecambe, 5:45 Leeds Harrogate. Sunday Tamworth Tottenham 12:30. We'll be at the Emirates for Arsenal against Manchester United at 3 o'clock. Same time Newcastle kick off against Bromley over on Talksport 2, and it all ends on Monday night with Millwall against Dagenham and Redbridge. So Graham Potter's return to football doesn't exactly go to plan this evening, but give him time, Hammers fans. Least you could do after running the last manager out of town. A long way from here to get to the West Ham way, but maybe the villains are ready for a tilt at the FA Cup. Second half goals from Onana and Rodgers turning the game on its head, while Villa celebrate their 150th anniversary with a first home win in the competition since 2016. It is finished Aston Villa 2, West Ham 1.